Kevin, thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon. Welcome along to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It has been a season horribilis for both of these football clubs. We could have our first relegation of the campaign confirmed, with Southampton staring into the abyss, whilst Tottenham Hotspur are on course to finish outside of the top 10 for the first time in 17 years. Charlie Slater alongside Stephen Kelly for you on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. And Stephen, these two make quite a pair.
Yeah, they do. They really do. Tottenham's only hope is that Europa League coming up during the week. Southampton, it's a matter of when, not if. And if it's today, they go down as the earliest team to be relegated in Premier League history, which no one will want. It's got the smackings of a pre-season friendly here to some extent. Sun is shining. I don't think either fans are enamoured by what they're going to see, but fingers crossed we get a game that's going to be exciting.
Yes, fingers crossed it doesn't have pre-season friendly vibes. As Stephen alluded to, we've got one team trying to avoid the worst season in club history, the other trying to avoid the worst season in Premier League history. Those maths very straightforward for Southampton. Lose and they will be relegated, doing so in record-breakingly quick fashion. The Saints, they lack in a number of areas, Stephen, but surely with these horrific wooden spoons being waved in their direction, they don't lack in the motivation department.
You would think so. It's so interesting because the cliche, you're playing for pride. And listen, I've been there, I've been in that situation before, and they have to show something. You have to show something to your manager, to your fans, that you warrant a place in this team going forward. Or if you're in a position where you're going to go play and other teams come looking for you, whatever it is your motivation, you have to put on the pitch today and you have to try and get something. And let's face it, Southampton could go and get a result against Spurs at home, because many teams have.
Well, a wall of noise has greeted the two teams. The sun is shining in North London. It is a beautiful spring afternoon as the two great underwhelmers in this season's Premier League meet with just 8 matches remaining. Southampton fighting to avoid the drop here and now. Spurs fighting to avoid the tag of worst Tottenham team for a generation. Son Heung-min led the Tottenham side out, all of them wearing sky blue training jackets over the top of their home kit, matching the sky that hangs over the top of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the golden cockerel which presides above all of it, resplendent in the sunshine, the sun kissing off of its neck, as both teams have made 3 changes. Spurs are entering a season and potentially tenured defining fortnight, and Ange Postecoglou has one eye on Thursday's huge Europa League quarter-final with his team selection. 3 changes: Pedro Porro, Ben Davies and Brennan Johnson return for Destiny Udogie, Mickey van der Ven and Wilson Odobert all drop into the bench, where they find Brazilian forward Richarlison, the lesser spotted Richarlison, back from another injury. He's involved in a Premier League squad for the first time in 2 months. Southampton also make 3 changes. Flynn Downs is suspended after picking up his 10th yellow card of the season. Paul Onuachu fit enough only for the bench after injuring his ankle. Jack Stevens also drops out as the Saints look to be switching to a 4-3-3 formation. Joe Aribo, Cameron Archer and Tyler Dibbling, who Spurs are reportedly interested in targeting this summer, all start. But Stephen, clearly Ange Postecoglou, who we'll come on to in a moment, has got one eye on Thursday night.
Oh, his you would think his sole focus is on this, on the back of his defeat against Chelsea midweek. They're gonna feel like they can win here. If they can't beat Southampton at home, there's something seriously wrong with Spurs. And to go in confidently into the next game, you feel getting a win at home, getting the fans something to cheer about, and then getting the support you need going into Europa League. But the pressure is on this side, and this is not the game that defines the season. It's going to be Thursday.
Spurs in their home kit of white and navy blue. Southampton in a pink away strip, pink shirts, pink shorts and white socks. Ange Postecoglou stood patrolling the edge of his technical area, far down beneath us at pitch level, with his hands in his pockets, wearing a long sleeved navy blue polo neck and black trousers. He's had a lot to say over the last few days about VAR, about society, and about the relationship with supporters as well. And a good comfortable win here this afternoon would help to bridge that gap ahead of an important fortnight.
Yeah, it really would. You feel that they've fallen apart so much from when he came in first, and there was just this kind of sense of energy, enthusiasm, and the Tottenham are playing this sensationally attacking minded football that the Tottenham fans are all getting behind. and now it feels like they've fallen so far away from that. And the manager, listen, I agree with some of his points with phones and all this. I think just be present in the moment and all that sort of stuff, but he's losing the track of what's going on, and I think the only thing that can change is results on the pitch. That's the only thing that can get him back on track with the fans.
Still a great noise here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Southampton won the toss. They've turned Tottenham around, and so Tottenham will take the kick-off. James Maddison is stood over the ball, and Spurs will attack the wall away to our right-hand side. It looks to be another complete full house here in North London. Aaron Ramsdale has made his way in front of the wall, and the former Arsenal goalkeeper is greeted in kind, as you would expect. This is Tottenham Hotspur's dedicated No Room for Racism fixture, and so both teams take the knee, and we are underway. It is Premier League Sunday on BBC Radio 5 Live. Here on Sports Extra, Spurs start the day 16th, one place lower than their worst ever Premier League finish. The only way is surely up for them. The only way is down, though, for Southampton. The trapdoor is wide open and ready for the Saints to throw themselves through it. Relegated today if they lose. Spurs have the ball down the left. Jed Spence, right-footed outside of his boot, finds James Maddison, who's in the corner flag area on the far side of the ground. Fakes to cross it twice. The former Spurs player Kyle Walker-Peters stays with him, and it's an early Spurs throw-in.
Yeah, you feel it. Spence on the ball for me as being one of Spurs' best players, and he would have been a player that was nowhere near the starting lineup at the start of the side, but has fought his way back into it. And you feel a lot of these players have to really kind of redeem themselves, and they've got 8 games to do left in the Premier League, and they've got a few massive fixtures in Europa League, and this game, you're playing for a place in that game on Thursday.
That game on Thursday evening, we'll have updates on BBC Radio 5 Live against Eintracht Frankfurt. Spurs kicking from left to right in their white and navy blue home strip as Brennan Johnson looks to sneak in, but the ball might fall to Solanke instead. Inside the penalty area, down he goes under the challenge of Bednarek. The referee waves it away, and Southampton will try to hammer it clear down the left touchline in the direction of Aribo. Run you through the teams in a moment. As soon as the ball goes dead, as Maddison picks it up in the heart of the Spurs midfield, squares it in the direction of Spence, and Maddison gets it back again. Vicario is in goal for them, a back four of Porro, Romero, Davis and Spence. The last of those is on the ball right now, edge of the penalty area, left hand touchline, overlap for Maddison, who's got far too much space, drills his cross off the backside of Walker-Peters, comes back to Spence once more. We've played nearly 2 minutes. It's goalless as Maddison's right-footed ball is headed away by Bednarek out as far as Bentancur. Bentancur is in the middle of a 3-man midfield. Bergvall to his right, Maddison to his left. Up top, Brennan Johnson on the right, Son Heung-min on the left, and Dominic Solanke through the middle. Here is the Spurs skipper, Son Heung-min. Still goalless here in a resplendent Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Not a seat to be viewed anywhere inside this ground. A crowd of around 60,000 expected, and they tend to fare pretty well against Southampton, beating them 5-0 on the south coast when the two sides met in December. Bentancur is the target of the next ball down the left, just about keeps it in before the byline, and it's back with Son Heung-min. Little ball for Bergvall inside the penalty area, cuts it back in the direction of Solanke, turns, hits it, blocked by Bednarek, and then hammered clear by Matías Fernandes.
Southampton have just started like a team that completely describes how they've played at the start of the season, or been this far in the Premier League. They look like a team waiting to be beaten, and we're 3 minutes in, and they haven't, and every clearance is just it's a hoof away. They're trying to get rid of their lines, and they're just sitting back so deep. And the problem is for Tottenham on the counter can get done. So even though you feel Southampton are really under the cosh so far, Tottenham leave themselves exposed, and Southampton will know that. Interesting first few moments.
The boos for Aaron Ramsdale, the Southampton keeper. In front of him, they're playing a 4-2-3-1 formation from right to left at the back. Kyle Walker-Peters, who isn't getting such a rude reception here in North London, as Walker-Peters returns to the club that he came through at as a child. Played 24 times for the first team, as Ramsdale's ball runs all the way through to Vicario at the other end. Harwood, Bellis and Bednarek in the middle of the defence, with Manning at left full-back. In midfield, Ogachukwu and Aribo, with Dibbling on the right, Fernandes and Sulemana getting forwards in support of Cameron Archer. Porro's on the ball for Spurs, bright pink boots matching the kit of Southampton, plays a searching ball from right to left, far too far in behind the likes of Solanke and Maddison. 4 minutes have been played, it's still goalless, it's still all Spurs, and Southampton have got themselves another free kick. Kyle Walker-Peters bundled to the ground again, this time by Lucas Bergvall. Tottenham fans will have one eye on Tyler Dibbling, Stephen Kelly, because he's been linked with a move to North London this summer, though the figure that they're talking, £100 million.
Oh yeah, it's ludicrous.
I can't imagine Daniel Levy's going to pay that.
No, I would have said of all the teams in the league that you feel may offer a substantial price, it's not going to be Tottenham, is it? He ticks a lot of boxes for how Tottenham like to do business. Young player, got Premier League experience, someone that can grow, loads of energy, exciting. But would they be willing to shell out for him after they've brought in a good few like Bergvall, Gray, Odegaard, these young players that have come in the side? And to be honest, they've all done really well. Do you want to add more of that into what is an already young side?
They've probably all done really well for young footballers rather than really well for a footballer that can come in and win now, which is what Tottenham fans are so desperate for.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think fans want something now, and don't get me wrong, I think Bergvall has been brilliant. I think Gray, when he's played, I think has played some wonderful positions, being played out of position so much as well.
That's a good ball forwards from Romero. Good idea anyway. The execution was slightly off. He was looking for Pedro Porro up near the edge of the Southampton penalty area. Spurs recover possession once more near the halfway line. Porro on the ball, wins his side, a throw in directly in front of his manager Ange Postecoglou. And how will he be feeling this afternoon after everything that happened at Stamford Bridge on Thursday, the cupping of his ears in the direction of the travelling Tottenham Hotspur fans after they scored that goal that was then disallowed? Ange says there was no malice behind it, but he still did it. Yeah, listen,
He's done it, he knows what he's done. I think he can try and downplay it as much as he can, but at times managers will get frustrated.
Brennan Johnson, edge of the penalty area, down the right wing towards the byline. He's really well held up by Manning, and Aribo and Manning try to win the ball back. The latter of those two throws himself to the ground and looks to grab the ball at the same time. Brennan Johnson's made very little contact with him, but it's directly in front of the assistant in the bottom right hand corner, the Southampton left, and that will be a free kick. You don't like to see him given, but as a former fullback, former defender, I'm sure you've gone down for a few like that, where you wait for a little bit of contact in your back, put yourself between ball and man. You probably couldn't possibly comment.
It's one of those things you develop on quite early, I think, as you start playing, because you realise you're under pressure, you're facing your own goal, you're facing away from play, and what can you do? And as a player on the opposition team, you're like, don't touch him, don't give him that chance to go down. And you go, and it's going to be a foul, it's going to give you a bit of respite, it's going to give you that chance to play out from the back.
Goalless here, 7 minutes on the clock. Goalless as well between Brentford and Chelsea, which is available to listen to on the BBC Sport website, and 0-0 between Fulham and Liverpool as Arne Slot's side continue to edge ever closer to a Premier League title. Ogachukwu back to Aaron Ramsdale in a darker shade of pink, more of a lilac goalkeeping kit with a hint of purple. He'll hear the boos every time he picks it up for his former Arsenal days. Solanke, left wing, 10 yards away from the penalty area. He'll find a short ball for Maddison, and Maddison will find Son Heung-min, plays it back towards Johnson. Really good block from Manning. Just as Brennan Johnson was about to pull the trigger from 8 yards, Manning got himself in the way, and it'll be a Tottenham Hotspur throwing on the far side instead.
It's great build-up from Tottenham. Maddison with a lovely little ball behind the fullback Walker-Peters. His son comes onto it and he gets his head up, pulls it back into Johnson, but Ryan Manning, the Irish fullback, comes in really strong. Great block from him. Johnson centre of the goal, gets a decent connection on it, but Manning's right there to get that block on.
That throw-in taken from the far side, all the way back up in the direction of Ben Davies. Now the Welshman back into the 11 this afternoon. As I mentioned, for Tottenham Hotspur, Richarlison back on the bench after his latest injury, as Porro tries to get the other side of Sulemana, and does do eventually, does really well, turns, his cross is blocked. It'll be a first Spurs corner in front of the wall, and Pedro Porro shifts his arms up in the air and asks for more noise and more enthusiasm from those Spurs supporters.
I always find that funny. Yeah, I think you have to give a little bit more to want the fans to give you more.
Well, Porro will take the corner kick that he won, a right-footed, out-swinging ball Deep towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Brilliant save as Romero's header went straight at Ramsdale, who bounced backwards as he pushed the ball away from harm's way. And maybe Romero should score, but Aaron Ramsdale makes an excellent save.
Wonderful save from Ramsdale. It's point blank, it's straight at him. The ball in from Porro, wonderful corner, and Romero peels off, diving header straight in, but it's just too straight at Ramsdale. The power he generates is fantastic, but the trajectory is just down the line aside of Ramsdale, who can punch it away.
Excellent diving header. Can there be a better sight in football than a diving header that's met so meaterly? But excellent save as well from Aaron Ramsdale, and he's going to have to do it all again perhaps, because Lucas Bergvall has just won a second corner for Spurs in quick succession. Played nearly 10 minutes. It's still 0-0, but it is all Tottenham Hotspur, which I guess should come as no surprise, but when you consider that Southampton are playing today to avoid relegation, and if they are relegated today, will be the quickest Premier League side in history to be relegated. Maybe you expect a little bit more, as Porro's right-footed outswinger is this time headed up and away by Bednarek and helped on its way towards the halfway line by James Maddison.
Yeah, it's been a real tough start for Southampton, just stuck in their own goal, in their own half of their pitch, not being able to play out. Any balls they're trying to clear, just going straight to Tottenham like this. And if you're Tottenham, you'd be feeling so confident in your press that you can just go after them and win the ball back.
Well, you mentioned that it might be like a pre-season friendly. It's almost like a training ground exercise as Bergvall gets the other side of Johnson, and Bergvall with his left foot never really catches hold of it from 10 yards out. It all opened up to him. Aaron Ramsdale was stood waiting to make the save, and in the end he could have thrown his proverbial cap on it. You know,
as he goes in, it's lovely. He's a little shimmy with his body, but he can't get the touch with his left foot out to be able to make the contact he wants. It's stuck under his body and he ends up just rolling into the keeper. He just needs to take it away from his body slightly more so he can get more purchase on it.
Tyler Diblin just got his first touch of any real meaning, and it's taken 11 minutes in this game, still goalless. Nice ball from Fernandes from the heart of the pitch out to the right wing for Walker Peters, and they attack the end where all the Southampton fans are gathered. Here is Diblin now, step into the penalty area, tiptoes towards the back post. There's a cross in the direction of Sulemana, who really should score, but Vicario makes a good point blank save, and the danger not cleared yet as Fernandes picks up the ball. He's closed down by Brennan Johnson. Back towards Manning. Manning's left-footed ball had plenty of time to pick out his cross. It's headed away before it could reach anybody in pink, and that was a really good move from Southampton. Curling ball towards the back post. Sulemana perhaps should do better, Stephen Kelly.
I think it's a great save from Vicario. Comes off his foot onto the post and back out, but if that doesn't sum Tottenham up in an instant of how their season has been, totally dominated the game, lose possession once, one attack from Southampton, and they hit the post.
Sulemana on the ball again for Southampton down the left, and now Tottenham Hotspur have gone into their shell somewhat. Curling ball into the penalty area. Archer was trying to get there in front of Vicario, but the Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper came out dressed all in yellow and quickly gathered the possession, and Spurs will take a breath and look to build again and look to get themselves back on top in this game as Maddison finds some space on the halfway line. Son Heung-min picks it up, approaching the edge of the penalty area. There's the overlap. Jed Spence back to Johnson. What a brilliant goal. Lightning quick from Tottenham Hotspur down the left-hand side. All of their stars involved. Brennan Johnson running onto it 10 yards out and picking out the top corner first time. 13 minutes have been played. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Southampton 0.
From start to finish, this goal is littered with quality. Romero's pass into Maddison in the space between the lines. Maddison's touch finish and playing in the line to Spence and Son. Wonderful play, and then this time Johnson, the cutback is perfect and Manny can't time his tackle, and this time Johnson fires into the roof of net with a wonderful left foot finish. Johnson has probably been Tottenham's most prolific player this season, missed a lot of games, and in an instant it's changed, but what a wonderful end-to-end goal from Spurs. Slick passing with a wonderful finish.
Well, you talked about Southampton being possibly looking at the counter-attack today as their best option, but Spurs there from one end to the other. Just not a single error, not a pass goes wrong, and the finish is just magnificent from Brennan Johnson, his 10th league goal of the season.
It is, yeah, sublime finish. But like I said, the pass from Romero out between the lines into Maddison, who found a pocket of space, he just whipped it into him, which was a great pass. Maddison's touch and turn to find Son, excellent as well, and then the cross, the head up to pull it back to Johnson. But I think this game just screams of two teams who defensively are not confident in what they can do. Tottenham are the same. Tottenham are not confident in how strong they can be defensively. Southampton are just struggling to do anything to stop the teams playing through the lines.
Spurs leading against Southampton then with 14 minutes on the clock by 1-0. Liverpool have just taken the lead at Craven Cottage. McAllister with the opener there. It's a free kick for Southampton, 10 yards outside of the Spurs penalty area, down the left wing. Ryan Manning is stood over the ball. He'll offer a left-footed out-swinging cross as the first quarter of an hour is in the books. That ball flicked away towards the back post. Bednarek keeps it alive. Now it falls to Archer. Low left-footed shot is blocked. Out to Matias Fernandez. Drags his effort goalwards, but into the path of Ugachukwu, who tried to divert it goalwards, but in the end puts it well wide.
No, he didn't know much about that as it came in, but he wasn't offside. He was in a really good position, and because he sees it so late, can't direct it back towards goal.
Spurs looking to build from the back, and there are a few nervy oohs and ahs as Southampton put the press on, try to play it away down the left, but Dibbling intercepts for Southampton, and the Saints have it back. Bednarek, their skipper, finds the youngster Dibbling once more. I mentioned Liverpool have taken the lead at Fulham. You can listen to that game on BBC Radio 5 Live in the company of Mark Scott and Clinton Morrison. Also in West London, Brentford 0, Chelsea 0. That one with John Akers and the Colchester United striker Lyle Taylor. Dibbling on the halfway line finds Matias Fernandez. Ugachukwu misplaces his pass and puts it out for a throw-in on the far touchline level with the halfway line for Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur. A reminder, as things stand with Southampton 1 goal down, they will be relegated from the Premier League this afternoon. They will do so in record-breakingly quick fashion. This is game week 31. No Premier League side has ever gone down this early. Even the awful Derby team, which currently holds the record, although that's under threat at the moment from Southampton, didn't get relegated until game week 32. They hold that record with Huddersfield Town as Tottenham Hotspur pick up the ball through James Maddison, 30 yards from goal. He's fouled by Leslie Ugachukwu, thumps the ground in pain. And it'll be a free kick in a dangerous area. It's a long way out, but it's not too far out, Stephen Kelly, to have a go at goal. No,
Pearl might fancy this from this distance. Really, again, Maddison is moving between the lines really well and receives this ball on the half turn, just shifts his body. Ugachukwu sweeps his leg and takes his calf out. But it's a great position for Maddison and a lovely pass in. I think it was from Brennan Johnson in the first place. But Tottenham are starting to motor. They're just finding nice little pockets, nice passing lines.
What an important couple of moments in the game. Southampton going up one end and almost scoring in their own right through Kamaldeen Sulemana, only for Vicario to make an excellent save. Only for Spurs to go up the other end and immediately find a breakthrough. 17 minutes have been played. It's Spurs 1, Southampton 0. That goal coming from Brennan Johnson, his 10th league goal of the season. The first Spurs player to enter double figures. Son Heung-min turns the ball towards the back post. Bentancur was the intended target, couldn't quite get on the end of it, and Kyle Walker-Peters clears it long and up towards the halfway line.
Yeah, but again, look at Southampton when they clear their lines. It's just to nobody. The whole team is back in defending, which they probably rightly so from a free kick, the position it's in. But when they play that ball forward, there's no pass, there's no line of sight for anybody to find. It's just hopelessly clicked back into the Tottenham team.
Bergvall does well, tries to win the ball back off of Manning, who stands strong, just about keeps hold of it, but then immediately concedes possession, and it will be another Spurs free kick. As they kick from left to right in front of us, it's about 3 yards in from the near touchline. Opportunity to throw the slightly bigger men forwards. I say big men, I mean they've got plenty of height in the team, but no giants. There is one giant here today. He sat on the bench for Southampton. Paul Onuachu, who scored 2 in his last 2, picked up an ankle injury in their 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace 4 days ago, and is only fit enough for a place on the substitutes bench, where he'll also find Ross Stewart, another striker. My goodness, he's had his injuries, back in a squad for the first time since October. Ball curled in towards the back post. Ramsdale comes out, flies and puts his right fist in the air and paws it away for a Tottenham throw-in on the far touchline, around 10 yards up the line from the far corner flag. We're currently advertising here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium that Beyonce's coming in the summer, and I know that some of the Spurs fans were singing outside the ground whether or not could she play up front. They've not struggled to score goals, Spurs. It's kind of more at the other end.
I don't say stick her centre back and see what happens. That'd be a position you want to see, stop, or maybe a holding midfield role.
Jay-Z at right fullback. James Maddison picks it up, gives it to Bergvall, takes a touch away from a couple of Southampton players, goes down, referee plays the advantage. Brennan Johnson has it on the right, low cross is blocked behind for a third Spurs corner of the game. Nearly 20 minutes gone, continuing to lead by 1-0.
I really like Bergvall. He flies into tackles, he puts pressure on teams, so full of energy, and then he's got that little bit of quality as well. But for a young, he's 19 years of age.
Spurs fans like him as well. They booed the substitution, of course, on Thursday evening when he was withdrawn, and they brought Pape Sarr on, and of course Pape Sarr then scored the goal that led to the cupping of his ears from Ange Postecoglou as Pedro Porro picks it up and finds Johnson on the right side of the area again. Good header away and behind by Harwood Bellis, joined from Manchester City's academy last summer. £20 million he cost, after a season-long loan in the Championship, where they won promotion, of course, and will be returning to at the conclusion of this game today, should things stay the same. A fourth corner in the first 21 minutes. Pedro Porro, again the man to take it. Right-footed out-swinger, runs all the way through towards Dibbling on the edge of the box, and Southampton think about trying to clear the ball away. Dibbling tries to keep a hold of it, goes down in a heap, wants the referee to bail him out and give him a free kick. That might well be handball though against Son Heung-min. It is, and Southampton will now be bailed out with a free kick.
It's interesting, isn't it? So Son gets penalised for a ball being smashed against him from a yard away. Dibbling goes down and basically cups the ball with his stomach to stop them getting away from, because he falls on top of it, and that doesn't get penalised.
We keep talking about cups and cupping in the first 21 minutes of the game here. Tottenham still leading on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Ange Postecoglou, of course, famously now, might even put an in front of infamously, declaring that he always wins a cup in his second season in charge somewhere. I saw a writer note down that the only cups that Tottenham Hotspur might be winning at the moment are the cups around his ears from Thursday evening, as Jed Spence picks up the ball approaching the halfway line. They enter, of course, on Thursday evening the Europa League quarter-finals, which their season really now hinges on, against Eintracht Frankfurt here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We'll have updates on that one into live commentary of Lyon against Manchester United in another Europa League quarter-final. The following Thursday, as Vicario's closed down by Archer. Spurs will travel to Germany for the second leg. Clearance away from Porro, can only find Harwood Bellis, wearing a tight black headband to keep his hair in place this afternoon in the North London sunshine. Tyler Dibbling picks it up, has the overlap from Kyle Walker-Peters, chooses not to use that, and instead they'll work it back across the defensive line. Joe Aribo will now take over. Southampton have lost 5 of their last 6 away games. 6 matches without a win in total since their 2-1 victory at Ipswich in early February. Nearly 23 minutes on the clock here. Kyle Walker-Peters puts his foot on the ball and tries to find Archer. Nowhere near doing so. And Tottenham Hotspur recover possession again. And we were talking before the game, Stephen Kelly, about the importance of trying to build a little bit of confidence from a Spurs perspective ahead of going into such an important game like they have on Thursday evening here in the Europa League. Yeah,
absolutely. And Southampton have been the worst team in the league this season, but there's fundamentals that you could put in play today, like that, pressing the team at the right time, getting them up the pitch, all that organisation and things that Tottenham have kind of fallen away from, to try and get them back in play in this game with as many players performing to a decent level, then to go into Thursday feeling right, we've got the hang of this.
Awkward ball back for Aaron Ramsdale, which is what you could hear the delighted jeers from the Tottenham Hotspur fans in the wall behind that goal, celebrating the fact that Ramsdale was finding life difficult there for a moment. Still 1-0 to Spurs. That goal coming through Brennan Johnson in the 13th minute. Bergvall picks it up now, number 15 on his back. Bright blonde Disney character-like hair. That's neat defending at the back from Jan Bednarek, who chests the ball out of harm's way. It's now with Kamaldeen Suleimani, who gets his pocket picked by Bergvall, but does well to recover the play before Spurs could do any more damage. Fernandez finds Uribe near the halfway line on the left wing, in front of what looks to be a very excited Ivan Juric, the Southampton coach. He laughs at the idea that he should stay inside his technical area. I don't think I've ever seen him confined by white lines, marching up and down, constantly clapping and encouraging his players. Fulham have equalised at Craven Cottage. Ryan Sessegnon, it's 1-1 there now. Fulham 1, Liverpool 1. The game's on BBC Radio 5 live for you here on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. 1-0 to Spurs against Southampton, who, I reiterate, will be relegated if the scores stay like this at the conclusion of this game. It's Romero who picks it up for Spurs at the back, heart of the defence. One of several key Spurs players that have had their injuries this season. Missed 3 months with a hamstring problem. And there is talk that he might be leaving North London in the summer as Maddison turns away from Ugachukwu, gets tugged back, and that will be a Spurs free kick and a first yellow card of the afternoon. It goes to Leslie Ugachukwu. Yeah,
it's the third time maybe Maddison has received the ball on that back foot. Really good awareness from him, looking over his shoulder, and then just rolls Ugachukwu, who fouls him again. This time it's a little bit too far out to maybe contemplate this shot, but Maddison, like I said, his positioning today has been very good. Just the spaces he found. You want to get back to James Maddison being that industrial player in the middle of the park, finding spaces, head on a swivel, turning, making things happen. And I said that for Tottenham, too many players have been off their game, and you want to get them back before this last push.
Two brilliant footballers stood over this free kick, which is fully 30 yards. Maddison rolls it to Son. Son square across the edge of the penalty area in the direction of Porro. Puts the ball onto his left foot. Ball to the back post. Another diving header. And again brilliantly saved by Aaron Ramsdale. It's Romero once more at the back post, flying through the air. Sticks his head on it from around 3 yards out, albeit at an acute angle. But the Southampton shot stopper, Aaron Ramsdale, once more makes a crucial stop for his side.
It's point blank again. Romero is just all action, isn't he, when he's going for the ball? Everything is just so flung. This time, really good ball in from Porro to the far post, and Romero throws himself out of a diving header, all of 2 or 3 yards away from Aaron Ramsdale, who point blank save, gets it away and keeps him in it.
Well, they talk about using your head as a footballer. Aaron Ramsdale has done exactly that. He's saved that, perhaps not so much with his head, with his face, which is why he's now lying sprawled on his back. It's a brilliant save because he makes himself big and he puts his head in harm's way. Didn't know a huge amount about it, but right place, right time. Aaron Ramsdale keeps the score at just 1-0 Spurs.
If you're of the vintage and you're looking for a description of this, it's a full Peter Schmeichel spread, legs, wide arms, head up, and he takes it straight in the face. Again, it's a wonderful header from Romero, but it's just point blank straight down the line, and Ramsdale is very brave getting out that, isn't he?
What do they call it? The starfish or something?
Yeah, the
like
starfish,
that. Yeah. So Spurs 1, Southampton 0 here on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra for you at Craven Cottage on BBC Radio 5 Live. It's Fulham 1, Liverpool 1. On the BBC Sport website, Brentford 0, Chelsea 0. Still to come later on, 4:30, the Manchester derby. United against City, live on 5 Live. 4:30 kickoff, John Murray and Leon Osman with you for that one. Of course, Match of the Day 2 with you this evening as well. And then tomorrow, the Monday Night Club will return with Mark Chapman, who's joined by Chris Sutton, Rory Smith and Duncan Ferguson. And then we kick off Masters Week live from Augusta in the United States ahead of the first golfing major of the year. We've got commentary live from Augusta National across 5 Live, 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. That's starting Thursday at 8 o'clock, and there will be plenty of build-up between now and then across the BBC. Aaron Ramsdale's okay. He's back up on his feet again. Sore face, I'm sure, but okay. And the score, thanks to him and practically nothing else, Stephen Kelly, is still Spurs 1, Southampton 0, as Son Heung-min has been kicked to the ground. It'll be a free kick 10 yards inside of Southampton territory.
Yeah, Tottenham just totally dominated this game. it doesn't mean Southampton won't get a chance, because even though Tottenham have barely lost possession, you still feel Southampton will get a shot on target at some point there, which is the crazy scenario you think they're in. But Tottenham have handled it really well, moving the ball well, pressing really high up the pitch, creating a number of chances.
Jed Spence has it for Spurs just outside of the Southampton penalty area. Short ball for Maddison. Ogachukwu goes across and sees the ball shepherded behind for a Southampton goal kick. What a season they have endured, Southampton. They are 13 points worse now than they were at the same stage of their last relegation season 2 years ago. No clean sheet in any of their last 13 matches, and statistically speaking they are the worst home team, the worst away team. They score the fewest goals and they concede the most goals going into this afternoon, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why they are 20th in the Premier League and will be relegated should the scores stay the same. It will be a Southampton free kick in the middle of their own half.
It's a fascinating thing, isn't it, to look at both these teams who have got a lot of criticism for not being able to adapt their styles of play throughout the season. Tottenham were too gung-ho, playing games without having the players they needed, the Van de Vens, the Romero at the back, and they're playing this high line. Southampton playing out from the back, meticulously trying to pass the ball and giving teams opportunities to press them and lose it. And at what point in the season do you think this needs to change? Southampton are relegated. Tottenham are about to have one of the worst seasons in the Premier League history. Should it have changed at some point in the season? Should the managers have been able to identify that and then rectify it, or at least tweak something to make them more resilient?
Half an hour been played. Spurs 1, Southampton 0. Glorious blue skies sitting above us here in North London. Up to my right, the golden cockerel looking resplendent. Directly in front of us is a pale ghostly moon, and there's just a couple of aeroplanes making their way over the top of the nation's capital as Spurs look to try and end the season with something to smile about. The biggest chance of having a grin this year will be what they can do in the Europa League. Eintracht Frankfurt visitors here on Thursday evening. Kyle Walker-Peters meanwhile on the ball, toiling away in his own corner in the right fullback area for Southampton, and he wins a throw-in off of Son Heung-min, who loves playing against the Saints, has 21 goal contributions in 18 games against Southampton, 13 goals, 8 assists. That's more goals and more assists than against any other side that he's ever played against. I think only Mo Salah has a higher goal involvement rate against Manchester United in all of current Premier League players, as an awkward and harum-scarum ball is sent across the face of the Southampton goal. They will say that it was full of composure and they were able to clear it away down the left-hand side, but they still have conceded possession, and it's Pedro Porro battling to get the other side of Matias Fernandes. Down he goes, free kick Spurs about 4 or 5 yards outside of the Southampton penalty area. It's rinse and repeat really, isn't it, Stephen Kelly? It's just, I mentioned it earlier, like a training ground exercise. I think Southampton have had one attack, and typical to Spurs, they nearly scored from it. But they've had one attack all game. Otherwise, it's just been attack against defence.
Every single time Southampton get the ball and try to play it to the wide areas or in the middle of the park, the Tottenham fullbacks are so high and they're on their front foot. They're not allowing them to turn. Whereas you look at the Southampton wingers, they look lazy. They're just down. They're just down. It's very hard to be motivated. It's very hard to lift yourself up from what they've experienced all the season. So they're just expecting it to come.
Down emotionally, down literally. Pedro Porro, right-footed, cross towards the back post. It falls to Bergvall, and Spurs double their lead. A right-footed ball into the penalty area, kept alive the likes of Davis and Bentancur, nodded it back across goal. It fell to Lucas Bergvall, and from around 8 or 9 yards out, first time with his right foot, he diverted it across the goal and into the bottom corner of the net. It's Tottenham Hotspur 2, Southampton 0.
You can tell the Tottenham fans, of all the players on the pitch, he's one of the ones they would have wanted to score. It's a bit fortunate, knocks back in, doesn't really know much about it when it hits his foot and just goes past Ramsdale into that far corner, but a wonderful ball in from Porro. I think it's headed back into position from Romero or Davies, comes back across, and again he just sticks his foot out, comes off it. Unfortunately for him, ends up in the back of net, but you can tell that meant a lot to the Spurs fans because he's one that's really they've taken to their heart.
Yeah, 19-year-old Swede. That is first Premier League goal. He scored against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup in January in that 1-0 win here. And he doubles Spurs' lead. They lead by 2-0. And I dare say, Stephen Kelly, this won't be the last time that we use this expression this afternoon. It certainly won't be the last time, as there is a VAR check going on for a possible offside. But if this goal stands, that is a nail in Southampton's coffin.
Yeah. As much as I actually want to say 100% it is a nail in their coffin that this is given, but this is Tottenham, and this is Tottenham this season. And I as a Spurs fan and as an ex-Spurs player, I find it very hard to get my head around the fact that they can't give goals away at the stage. So I'm not counting my chickens before they've hatched yet.
It's very, very tight. It's all about this offside decision, whether or not, I think Leslie Ugochukwu and his left foot is playing on a couple of Spurs players at the far post, but it's very, very tight. And let me just glance down to Ange Postecoglou, who had a lot to say about VAR on Thursday evening after their goal at Stamford Bridge was ruled out. He said he hates VAR to its very core. He told us on BBC Radio 5 Live exactly that.
Looks like they're offside. If you look at the reverse angle, I don't know whether that's sped up and further ahead, but an angle has just come up on the monitors for us, and if that's the angle they're going off, the Tottenham players looks offside.
It's Romero, isn't it, who's kind of leaning forwards, and then there's also Ben Davies at the back post who's also leaning but sticking his left arm out.
Is this not, if it's not clear and obvious,
Absolutely.
the goal stands, why is this? Why are we having this debate? If they can't decide in the first 20 seconds he's offside, then he's not offside.
Well, to that end, I thought this exactly as the goal went in, so I checked the exact time that the goal went in, and that is now 2.5 minutes ago. Now, the check at Stamford Bridge took 6 minutes the other night.
But like the thoughts of some guy in an office somewhere in a room trying to get a line out on a protractor to try and see the angles and see what's going on, it's just ludicrous. If you can't see it straight away, what on-field decisions should count.
This is the last round of fixtures in the Premier League where semi-automatic offsides are not involved. They will be introduced in time for game week 32, and the idea of the semi-automated offside is that it's not going to make anything more accurate, because they've been 100% accurate all season long, but it is expected to cut the time down that a decision takes massively.
But if you can't see it instantly, then it's crazy. Like, we have microphones here and we're commentating. I want to boo as well with the fans.
just put the microphone down and boo. There are plenty of boos. You might as well join in, as everywhere we look around us, we're all shaking our heads. It's an incredibly tight decision with several players. It's all about Leslie Ugochukwu's left foot, and whether or not Davis and Romero are leaning past that line that Ugochukwu is creating.
The angle we have now, I'm saying they're onside, but if you reverse the angle,
they look well off.
They look off. So which one are they going on? And how? This is crazy. Absolutely nonsensical.
It's been 4 minutes now.
If it takes this long.
Ange Postecoglou, hands in his pockets, he now takes them out and crosses his arms, and even from all the way up here I could see that he puffs out his cheeks.
How much would you love it if you cupped his ear? Just at this moment.
He's smiling. He's now covering his eyes. He's covering his watch so that he's not counting.
He's doing rock paper scissors as if this is what's going to make the decision. Look at him. It's actually comical.
He is quite literally doing rock paper scissors with himself. Here comes the decision. The referee this afternoon, Michael Salisbury, has drawn the imaginary TV line and discounted the goal for offside. It took over 5 minutes. Just 3 days after, Tottenham had a goal ruled out at Stamford Bridge which took 6 minutes. This one's taken 5.
It's ridiculous. We shouldn't be VAR should be better for the league. VAR should cut out all these silly incidents, but if something is that tight, then why does the on-field? They should have I'd love to see a countdown clock in the VAR studio, just ticking away, sweat beads on the foreheads, and then after 30 seconds, okay, on-field decision stands.
Well, Ange Postecoglou said, as I mentioned, he hates VAR to its core. He said it's ruining the game. He said, how is that clear and obvious on Thursday when it ruled out Pape Sarr's goal? rinse and repeat. He might well be saying the same thing at the conclusion of this game. Henry Moran is here for BBC Radio 5 Live with us today, and it's going to be his job to stick a microphone under Ange Postecoglou's chin later and say, so Ange, what do you think about VAR? Good luck to you, Henry.
Yeah, I think I'd like to be present for that, just to see what happens.
I'll listen back later on BBC Sounds.
It's crazy. You know, actually, what the funny thing about the Chelsea game for me is that after all the VAR decisions, after all these 8 times, Ange Postecoglou didn't have the know-how not to celebrate a VAR goal until the decision was made.
Yes, that is true. Meanwhile, lots happening in West London and on BBC Radio 5 Live, where there's a long ball over the top. Archer challenges for it. Vicario comes out and grabs it at the second or third attempt. Liverpool had led at Fulham by 1-0, but while we were discussing the virtues of VAR here, Fulham have turned it around. They've scored a second and a third. It's now Fulham 3, Liverpool 1. No wonder Arne Slot, the Liverpool manager, has been talking about how the Premier League season is not done. I think they only need another 11 points to secure it from their remaining 8 games, of which their trip to West London today is their 8th game to the end. And they've got their work cut out for them. As I say, you can hear it all on BBC Radio 5 Live, and then later on today at 4:30 we take you to the northwest, the Manchester derby at Old Trafford. It's United against City. John Murray and Leon Osman there for that one, and I thoroughly look forward to watching Match of the Day 2 tonight, where they can discuss all the VAR virtues that we have seen here this afternoon in North London. Just to reiterate then, as we go into the final 5 minutes of the first half, it's Spurs 1, Southampton 0.
Yeah, it's such a bugbear, isn't it? Every game we seem to have a conversation about how long it takes or why it takes that long, whereas I think it's a very simple remedy. If it gets to a certain time, then the on-field, if it's that unclear, then it's not clear and obvious. It has to stand what's gone on the pitch. They may have got this right. He may be offside by 2/5 of a centimetre. Who knows? But it's crazy that's taken this long.
The moon has come up more above the North London Stadium in the amount of time that it took for VAR to make their mind up. Over at Stockley Park, the VAR today is Graham Scott. To mention the man in the middle is Michael Salisbury. Assistant VAR Natalie Aspinall. Spurs have the ball. Back to the football. Isn't that nice? Bentancur down the right wing. Right-footed cross. Headed up but not away. Falls towards the edge of the box. Down goes Solanke. It drops instead towards Brennan Johnson, who pokes it home but immediately glances at the assistant referee, who keeps his flag down, and any celebrations are muted. Ange Postecoglou's turned, looked at his coaching staff. He's smiling but also purposefully not celebrating. As things stand, it is Spurs 2, Southampton 0. Again, Stephen Kelly.
Again. I was watching Johnson's run then. Johnson's run looks like he's onside. He sneaks in. To be fair, the defending from Southampton is abysmal. It's absolutely dreadful. They are so poor defensively. They switch off. They give fouls away. They don't track their runners. The ball was bouncing around. First of all, it's Solanke gets his body in the way. Then Maddison has a tame header back into a random area, and Johnson just creeps in between the defenders and taps it in. It's so easy. It is so easy for Tottenham.
Well, this one will stand.
Yeah. It's a great little finish. It's nonchalant little touch. It's so calm and collected from Johnson to get his second goal. But honestly, I'm watching Southampton and they are devoid of any defensive solidness that you'd expect from any team in the Premier League.
They are a team hurtling towards their second relegation in 3 seasons, down as things stand. If they lose here today, and they are doing in some style, they will be relegated. 2.5 minutes remain at the end of the first half. It is now Spurs 2, Southampton 0, and we can say that with certainty. And as I glance down to my left-hand side, which is where you'll find the travelling Southampton supporters, many of them are shielding their eyes, not just because the sun is in their vision today, but also because the football that they are having to be subjected to again this season is worthy of covering your eyes for.
Yeah, you feel sorry for them. Listen, they've come out in the numbers again. They probably wanted to come to this wonderful arena, which at times can produce moments of wonderful games because the way Tottenham play, because they're open, and it's an experience to come to this stadium. but you're not coming for the experience of watching their team, because they don't give them anything. At the moment, they don't give them anything to celebrate.
Well, Spurs have the ball at the back with Vicario. As we approach the 44th minute here in North London, sun continues to shine as Davis plays a long, searching ball down that far left touchline in the direction of Jed Spence. Spurs leading by 2-0. Fulham still leading against Liverpool by 3-1, and it remains goalless at Brentford as they welcome Chelsea this afternoon. Ramsdale caught near his goal line, ball back to him that he didn't want. Now it's with Manning as Southampton shuffle the ball forwards down the left touchline. Romero gets caught by Kamaldeen Sulemana, but across comes Bentancur and sweeps up in behind with a strong sliding tackle, and Ramsdale has it back once more inside his penalty area. He shows composure. He's got the wall of Tottenham fans behind him, and they're taking great joy in teasing him. But to be fair to Aaron Ramsdale, who's conceded 2 goals, could have been 3 goals if it weren't for the VAR. It would have been a huge amount worse if it weren't for the former Arsenal keeper. The
pass he's just made to Tyler Dibbling, all of 7 yards, was probably the best pass the Southampton player has made the whole game. He's fired it through loads of bodies, low trajectory, straight to his feet, and Dibbling was shown for in a really good position and gets them up the pitch.
They show good fight against Crystal Palace the other day as Sulemana steps between a couple of Spurs players and throws himself into the penalty area, goes to the ground, and no real look in the direction of the referee at the moment, but certainly seemed to hurt his knee as he did hit the deck. He now slowly gets back up again as we see just the 7 minutes added on at the end of the first half. Stephen Kelly, I wonder why we've got so much.
Yeah, madness, isn't it? Absolute madness that the players are standing around for 7 minutes during the game, 6 minutes
in the first half.
Yeah.
Sulemana, left side of the Spurs penalty area, dressed in pink. He gives it to Manning, who offers the overlap, lifts it into the 6-yard box, and it lands delicately into the gloves of Vicario in the Spurs goal. And so far so good for Ange Postecoglou. He needed an afternoon where they looked good in the sun, and they are doing so far, albeit against a Southampton side that are so poor.
Yeah, they haven't put up much of a fight. Maddison gets pickpocketed here just on the edge of his own box. First time he's come really deep to receive it, and this time is not aware of who's behind them. But I think what I'd like to see from Spurs now is to keep it up. Don't let off. Don't let them come back into it. And really try and hone themselves. And for Southampton, do they have a fight? Can they show something about themselves that they're down, they're relegated? But what can you do? What can you prove as a player to show you have more about you than what you've shown so far this season?
Dibbling has the ball for Southampton, square across the middle of the midfield inside the Spurs half for Aribo, and now out to Sulemana on the left wing in one of the only shaded areas of this half on this near touchline as Southampton continue to kick from right to left. Inside first half stoppage time, 7 minutes of it. We've played just over 90 seconds of that at the moment as Walker-Peters picks it up once more on the right wing, bathed in sunshine on that far side, which is where all of the Southampton supporters are gathered. Ball into the penalty area, comes off Maddison, back to Dibbling, forced outside of the 18-yard box. It's with Aribo, 20 yards away now from the penalty area to Manning, and now down the left wing for Sulemana. Onto his right foot, curling ball towards the back post. About 3 or 4 yards in front of the sliding Tyler Dibbling, who was trying to keep it in, trying to turn it goalwards, but was never going to get there, and it's a goal kick instead.
It's a decent ball from Sulemana. Just drops his shoulders, comes back inside and just floats one into the far post. Vicario can't come for it because the pace on the ball, but Dibbling gets caught edge of the box and he can't really get himself around to try and make contact with it.
I was just watching some images flashing up of Ange Postecoglou on the monitors here in the press box where he's doing that rock, paper, scissors, which he felt was probably the way that VAR decided that their second goal, which didn't count, was to be ruled out for offside, and he was showing images of how he was looking at the image of the offside call and how tight it was and how it was ruled out for a hand of Davis and a shoulder of Romero. Here comes Spurs again. Son Heung-min, left side of the penalty area near the corner of it, goes to find Spence, who might well be offside. He is. It'll be a free kick for Southampton should they choose to take it, but the referee instead will play an advantage as they play their way out. It's Matias Fernandes, dead centre of the Saints half. 3 minutes of 7 added on have been played. Spurs still leading by 2-0. Approaching half-time at Craven Cottage, it's Fulham 3, Liverpool 1, and 0-0 between Brentford and Chelsea. That one available to listen to on the BBC Sport website. The action from Craven Cottage is on BBC Radio 5 Live. Dibbling has it inside the centre circle. If nothing else, he is playing to get a move, I would think, in the remaining 7 games after today for Southampton, possibly to here, he's been linked with here, possibly to Manchester City as well, as Spurs recover possession through Pedro Porro.
He does kind of remind me of Jack Grealish, actually, how he plays, not just the low socks. Not just the low socks, it's just his movement. He comes off the line, he draws players in, he kind of sucks you in to feel like you can get a touch on it, but then manipulates the ball to get away from you. But his touches have been few and far between this afternoon because they just haven't had any possession.
Well, you mentioned it, and I thought it before you said it. Aaron Ramsdale's ball out about 5 minutes ago is the best pass that any Southampton player has played all game, and he's the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's the goalkeeper, and you know, he wasn't trying to play it square or play it short. He played it, you know, from inside his box to 10-15 yards inside the Tottenham half of the pitch. Dibbling was in a great position. That was a great pass from Harvard Bellis there.
Far better. Maybe we've talked them into it. Matthias Fernandes now dinks a delightful ball out in the direction of Dibbling on the right wing. Controls it with his chest. He's fronted up immediately by Spence and Son and looks like an island until he finds Walker-Peters. Back to Aribo, 25 yards out from goal. Matthias Fernandes, it opens up for him. Nobody's closing him down, and so with his right foot he hits it from around 23 yards, but it bobbles in the direction of Vicario, who makes a very comfortable save.
Yeah, just space just opens up for him, gets a decent clean contact on it, but it bouncing from the Vicario. Dibbling was in a really good position though on the edge of the box. Spence's dropped inside and kind of got drawn towards the ball, and Dibbling had just pulled off his shoulder. If he had released him there, he was taking him on behind Spence, driving towards the Tottenham goal, and that would have been a really good position for Southampton to be in.
Spurs have it again, looking for a counter-attack down the left, which is where they got their first goal from. 2 goals have been scored, both by Brennan Johnson. Bergvall also thought he'd scored, but that was disallowed by VAR, of which we've laboured plenty over. Johnson attempts to find Bergvall with a lofted ball down the Spurs right as Son Heung-min goes down under the challenge of Manning, and Manning throws himself to the floor under the slightest touch from Johnson, and that'll be a free kick for Southampton. Even Juric challenged his players before this game to avoid being the worst Premier League team ever. They have 10 points at the moment. 11 is the mark from Derby County, coming on for 20 years ago now. And Paul Jewell said that's something, he was the manager at the time, still follows him around to this day. Derby fans in the East Midlands will certainly not be cheering for Southampton because it's a moniker that they're desperate to shed as well. But it comes to something, doesn't it, Stephen Kelly, when a manager is saying just try to avoid being the worst team ever.
That you're clutching at straws, aren't you? If that's the thing that's trying to motivate you. I played against that Derby side, and they were poor. They were a really poor side. But is it worse, the points, or getting relegated earlier in the season? Listen, the point thing stands.
Spencer's robbed. Dibbling on the edge of his own penalty area. Right-footed shot, beaten away by Aaron Ramsdale. Only as far as Bergvall. Porro and he contrive to concede possession and then look to win it back. But in doing so, give Southampton a free kick on this near touchline, 20 yards inside of their own half.
Ramsdale, that's a wonderful save. Spence gets in behind the fullback, opens his body up, tries to whip it into that far corner, and Ramsdale full stretch left hand palms it away. And I thought Tottenham were definitely going to get a third.
Brennan Johnson has 2 goals. Southampton are 2-0 down, and we are approaching the end of the 7 additional minutes. And there they go. The referee blows for half time. All applause here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And despite the fact that Tottenham lead by 2-0, and both of them have been scored by Brennan Johnson, I think, Stephen Kelly, you could make a very good claim for saying that Aaron Ramsdale might be the man of the match so far.
Oh, he is, yeah. Best pass of the match, 2 great saves, third one just there by Spence. He's kept Southampton in it, but they're going to lose. By the looks of it, they're going to lose this match. They're going to have to put in a huge performance the second half to try and get back into it. But Ramsdale has done what's been asked from him. He couldn't have done anything with the 2 goals, and when the moments have come, he's made some big saves.
As things stand, Southampton will be relegated this afternoon They will be if they lose. They are 2-0 down. They have another 45 minutes to ensure that they don't set a new record for the fastest relegation in Premier League history. Spurs leading by 2-0 here. Fulham leading by 3-1 at Craven Cottage against Liverpool at half-time. It's goalless between Brentford and Chelsea. We will be back for second half commentary shortly here on 5 Sports Extra, but during half-time we can get news from the rest of the day's action with 5 Live.
Against the country. Police in Lincolnshire have named a father and daughter who were killed in a fire at a caravan park in Ingledmills. 48-year-old Lee Baker and his 10-year-old daughter Esme are from the Nottingham area. 2 16-year-old boys have been arrested on suspicion of murder after a boy aged 17 was stabbed to death in West London. Police have named him as Kieran Charles. He died at the scene in Shepherd's Bush. And a 25-year-old man's been arrested over a large wildfire in County Down. More than 100 firefighters worked through the night in the Moor Mountains to try to bring it under control.
We're Liverpool, and Liverpool's ours.
On BBC iPlayer.
If it gets out, we've got a hole in our supply lines. We'll have every flavour of mafia.
Brand new drama.
Is life good?
Life's good with you.
Why don't we just walk away? You and me.
Even if I walk away, I'm still a target.
The good life.
This city is ours.
This will end, I swear.
Watch on BBC iPlayer. This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
So, half-time scores in the Premier League. Second half commentary here on 5 Live on the way. Fulham 3, Liverpool 1. You'll be able to listen to Tottenham 2, Southampton 0. That's the half-time score on 5 Sports Extra when it gets back underway. On the BBC Sport website, Brentford 0, Chelsea 0 is the half-time score. Sale away to defending champions Toulouse in the last 16 of the Champions Cup today. Kicks off at 3 o'clock. Adam Whitty.
This perhaps the biggest challenge in club rugby for Sale as they aim to pull off what would be a remarkable shock in the south of France to reach their 4th Champions Cup quarter-final. There's no Antoine Dupont for the 6-time winners, who for comparison are aiming for their 24th last 8 match, and they're stacked with international giants like Marchand, Ramos and Capuazzo. The hosts have won 8 of their last 9. They won all 4 of their pool stage games. But Alex Sanderson Sale have a lot of talent themselves. They welcome back Ben Curry as one of 5 changes from last week's Premiership win against Northampton, with England internationals George Ford, Tom Roebuck and Asher Opoku-Forgeot named in a full-strength Sharks. It would perhaps be the biggest shock in European club rugby history if they were to win at the Stadium de Toulouse, but you never know. Kick off at 3.
You never know. It would be a big shock if St Johnstone stayed up in the Scottish Premiership this season. However, their gap to Dundee, second bottom, is now just 5 points. I say just. They have a 1-0 victory, St Johnstone, this afternoon over Celtic, the champions-elect. Let's hear from the St Johnstone boss, Simo Valakari, speaking to Gavin Wallace.
We needed this, the situation where we are. So we needed this. We needed this performance after the last weekend. You know, we didn't perform against Hibs. So yeah, very, very proud of our players.
I think the question is, where has that St Johnstone team been this season? But since you've come in, things have changed a lot. Did you see something like this coming? Did you have confidence that you were going to get a big result at some point?
That's the thing, you know, because the results, they have not been as we have been wanting. So as a manager, it's very difficult to come outside and see. I see what we are doing. I see that the boys have it. It's just a matter of time. It will come out there, because the results are not coming, because you will judge what's happening on the field, and we are not cutting. But I have knew that all the time, that we have that. The boys have that, and you know, I've said it many times. I have been waiting this moment that comes the game. We scored 2, 3, 4 goals, you know. But today, okay, it was a defending display. We needed heroics from our goalkeeper, what a saves. Everyone defended, followed the plan, worked for each other, and then this is possible.
Simo Valakari, the head coach of St Johnstone. Live score you from the Scottish Premiership is Hearts 0, Dundee United 0. In F1, Red Bull's Max Verstappen has won the Japanese Grand Prix. Lando Norris was second for McLaren ahead of his teammate Oscar Piastri. So Norris leads Verstappen by 1 point in the Drivers' Championship. Let's hear from the Dutchman. Here he is.
1 in a row, of course, is great, but very different scenarios compared to, I would say, the last few years here. You know, today was key to start first. They were trying to get into my DRS, but it's very hard to follow around here. I think also the track temp today helped us. Less overheating from the tyres naturally when the track is cooler, just incredibly happy with this result.
touched on it there. Can you take us into the cockpit? I mean, how much pressure were you feeling from the McLarens behind? And we did also see that moment exiting the pits. Could we just get your take on that as well?
I was quite calm. I mean, I've been in this position before, but just trying to focus on my own laps, trying to not make any mistakes, making sure that the balance was drivable. Because, of course, throughout the stint, the tyre life, it definitely changes the balance a bit, front to rear. But yeah, we managed everything really well. Of course, she's very happy with this result. And then, of course, with that pit lane thing, it was tight.
That's Max Verstappen. We are live from inside Old Trafford. Full commentary this afternoon, 4:30 of the Manchester derby. Absolutely bathed in sunshine. I think I said the last time I was here ahead of the Arsenal game, you could really feel that spring was springing, because for the first time you could sort of see the big coats had gone away. This afternoon, for a lot of Manchester United fans that we can see around us already inside Old Trafford, it's very much T-shirt weather. So much going on. Fans protest that we're expecting more of from Manchester United supporters this afternoon, unhappy at ticket prices. The last Manchester derby for Kevin De Bruyne as well. Correspondent John Murray is with us. There's a lot going on today. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Steve. Yes, there is. But one thing that's not going on is that I think over many, many years now, if these two Manchester clubs had met either here or in the other stadium at this time of year when the weather's like this, either one or other, or actually even both, would have had a say in the title race. But clearly that's not the case this time. But you're absolutely right. There is still plenty to hold the interest.
So the protest, we were here 20 days ago when it was fans marching outside, and you could actually smell from inside the commentary position the cordite from the flares. This is almost the opposite. It's a sit-in.
Yeah, it's another match here and another protest. And if you remember back to then, it was in the aftermath of that Sir Jim Ratcliffe gave his big round of media interviews. An excellent interview with Dan Rowan, which I suspect is still on BBC Sounds, and any Manchester United fan who hasn't heard that, I'd have a listen to that, because it's very interesting. And then, of course, they announced the new stadium as well, the plans for the new stadium. However, things are still rumbling on that are really upsetting hardcore Manchester United fans. So it's the 1958 group that have organised what they intend to be a sit-in today. And you're absolutely right, ticket prices are one of the things that they are taking issue with. Obviously they're taking huge issue with the ownership of Manchester United and the decisions that are being made. But yeah, ticket prices rises without consultation. The prices for OAP, so those concessions. Also this matter of they say 500 fans are going to be moved from next season, fans who've sat together for decades, because there's going to be a sort of tunnel club style situation that we've seen in quite a number of other football grounds, Manchester City for example, Brighton as well, and they say, the 1958 group, quote, football is more than just being a number on a seat where fans can be replaced by more lucrative customers. So we will have, if this goes to plan, a sit-in inside Old Trafford, and rather as at Tottenham a few weeks ago, it'll be a case of just saying what the effect of that is and how many people get involved.
Leon Osman is with us for commentary this afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Steve.
Every time that we watch Manchester City in person now could well be the last time that we watch Kevin De Bruyne, which I just think from a neutral's perspective is actually quite sad.
Yeah, I mean, I make it a similar feeling to how I felt when that David Silva was leaving Manchester City, and what a wonderful servant he'd been, one of my favourite all-time players to play in the Premier League, and knowing that each time you see him could be the last, it's sad in a sense that we're no longer going to see those moments of magic from an outstanding player, but it does make you appreciate what they've done. It does make you look back at some of their special moments, what they've achieved, what they've been a part of, why they've made the Premier League so special. And yeah, I hope that those players get the appreciation, it's Kevin De Bruyne at the moment, that they deserve from away supporters, not just the City fans who are going to enjoy him, but away supporters. I doubt he'll get that kind of send-off.
I was going to say, I wonder where you're going.
I've got to be honest, I doubt he'll get that here, but he'll be, to take part in these big fixtures, these local rivalries, you want to make sure that every one of every time you're out there, this is from Kevin De Bruyne, that he puts on a show, and I'm hoping we're all going to be able to see him do that.
Yeah, I'm just watching another one down there on the side of the pitch at the moment, who's one of the best midfielders that has graced this game over the course of recent decades. Brian Robson's down there, totally different player to Kevin De Bruyne, but certainly deserves to be in the conversation when people are talking about the best midfielders that have graced the English top flight. But yeah, for Kevin De Bruyne, I thought Shea Given earlier in the programme was spot on when he called him the ace in the pack, didn't he? Or the diamond in the pack, I think he called it.
Right, we've got much more build-up to come. Clearly, we'll talk more about Kevin De Bruyne and Manchester United as well. Beautiful day here inside Old Trafford, but we've got 3 full commentaries that you can listen to right now. Spurs Southampton, Spurs leading 2-0, 5 Sports Extra, BBC Sport website, Brentford 0, Chelsea 0, here on 5 Live. Quite a story brewing. Fulham 3, Liverpool 1. Clinton Morrison's with Mark Scott.
Thanks very much, Steve. Yep, perfect timing, just about good to go. Liverpool set to get us underway in this second half. As you say, trailing by 3-1. No changes from either manager during the interval, so I'll run you through the team shortly as Van Dijk heaves the long ball upfield. Szoboszlai's underneath it in centre field for Liverpool, and now Jones wins it back high up the pitch for Liverpool, but Bassey's got it, and Fulham work it back to their left back area, and Robinson. Bassey up the line into Rodrigo Muniz, who scored an absolute belter to make it 3-1. Make sure you check out Match of the Day 2 tonight, BBC One at 10:30, to see that goal and all of the others from today's Premier League action.
He needs to be better though, Salah, in the second half. He's not working nowhere near as hard as he was doing previously, and I've seen not saying I've seen him down tools, but he has to look like, come on, I know you think it might be over, not at Liverpool, I'm not talking about him at Liverpool, I mean the Premier League, but he needs to work harder for his team, and that is the world-class players. When your team are having a downtime, you need your world-class players to step up.
Sasha Lukic has just picked up a yellow card for dragging back Gravenberch midway inside the Fulham half, so that's the first yellow of the game, and McAllister is over the free kick for Liverpool as the shadows just start to grow across the far side of the pitch to us underneath that imposing Riverside stand. McAllister lifts it in, but it's catching practice for Bernd Leno, so can run you through the teams now. Leno in goal for Fulham, Robinson, Bassey, Anderson and Castagna the back four, Lukic and Berger in midfield with Iwobi, Pereira and Sessegnon behind Muniz up top. Liverpool with Kelleher in goal, Robertson, who had a shocker for one of the Fulham goals, Van Dijk, Konate and Jones their back four, McAllister, who scored a belter to put Liverpool in front with Szoboszlai and Gravenberch the midfield three, Gakpo, Jota and a pretty quiet Mo Salah are their front three. Flicked on by Iwobi for Fulham midway inside Liverpool territory, but Liverpool have enough bodies back there to clear up towards halfway. Good turn by Sander Berger inside the centre circle to wriggle clear of a couple of Liverpool players, and now it's with Castagna, the Belgian right back, who plays it into the feet of Sessegnon, who took his goal very nicely indeed. 3 goals in his last 5 league games for Ryan Sessegnon as Leno launches it into the sunshine up towards halfway. Another nice touch from Muniz to get away from Van Dijk. He's laid it off this time for Sander Berger, who brings it over the halfway line into the feet of Sasha Lukic, and Lukic can play it short to Bassey, and Bassey under pressure can work a diag pass in towards the feet of Iwobi, who's challenged by Konate. It was a lunging tackle, but fair, and now Salah's picked up the ball after a mistake from Bassey. Mo Salah motoring, tries to flick it through for Jota, who can't take the chance. Bernd Leno with a sprawling save to deny Diogo Jota, who we've got used to being so deadly from that kind of situation, but the German spread himself well to keep it at 3-1.
Yeah, that's better from Salah. Bassey makes a mistake and Salah plays a clever little ball through to Jota, and he should be scoring. Jota, I said earlier in the programme, he's the best finisher at Liverpool, but credit to Bernd Leno, he stands up ever so well, but he just couldn't get the ball out of his feet. He's unlucky, to be fair. It's a good save from Leno.
He hasn't got a great record against Liverpool, Bernd Leno. He's not won against them, conceded 28 goals in his 12 games against them, but kept that one out, and now gets a fist to this corner, which clears it as far as Mo Salah. Down by the corner flag on the right side as Liverpool look at things. He will let the ball dribble out for a throw to Arne Slot's men, and Salah thinks about taking it himself.
Welcome back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Two teams known for their marching are heading in decidedly different directions. It's Spurs 2, Southampton 0 at the break, and we are about to get back underway here in North London. Southampton kicking from left to right, get us going again in a kit of pink and white. I'll put my teeth back in again, Stephen Kelly, as Spurs kicking from right to left in white and navy blue, leading by 2-0. Southampton will be relegated in the next 45 minutes or so if they can't turn this around, and there is no reason to believe that they will be able to turn this around at this stage of the season.
No, not from that first half showing, not from the way Tottenham have played. You feel they're very much that they're going to get relegated today. I'd love to see a better showing from them. I'd love to see a team that has a bit of fight, but they look like they're dejected. Their confidence is so low as a squad, and yeah, you feel it's just inevitable today.
2 Brennan Johnson goals. The difference in the first half, Lucas Bergvall also scored, but that was ruled out after a VAR check that lasted more than 5 minutes, ruled out for offside. As I mentioned, Southampton in the kit of pink shirts and shorts, pink shirts and socks and white shorts. Tottenham in their home kit of white and navy blue. They line up with Vicario in goal, no changes at half-time. Porro, Romero, Davis and Spence at the back. In midfield, Bergvall, Bentancur and Maddison up top. Johnson, Solanke and Son Heung-min. Kyle Walker-Peters on the ball for Southampton, goes down, looks to have hurt himself. Referee I don't think was going to give a free kick, but has now taken sympathy with the Southampton player, the former Tottenham Academy product, who's being helped up by Bentancur, and it will be a free kick to the Saints around 5 yards or so inside Tottenham territory. No changes either for the Saints. Ramsdale in goal, who's kept them in it, if they are in fact in it anyway, with the score being 2-0. It would have been 5 if it weren't for some brilliant stops from Aaron Ramsdale. A back four of Walker-Peters, Harwood, Bellis, Bednarek and Manning. In midfield, Ugachukwu and Aribo playing slightly further forwards. On the right, Dibbling, the left, Sulemana, with Matthias Fernandes in behind Cameron Archer. This free kick to be taken by Fernandes, launched long up towards the edge of the Spurs penalty area. Ugachukwu got the telling touch, but it lands at the feet of Bentancur, who smashes it off of Bednarek. In fact, might be Harwood Bellis, and it's a goal kick that's been taken quickly by Vicario.
It's weird, you know, when Vicario takes those quick free kicks from the back, I'm like, Tottenham weren't set against a better side, which I watched here a few times. They've just got pressed and they've lost the ball to Southampton here, but Tottenham are not set to play that. The team aren't in position, their midfield aren't in position, and they've just given Southampton an opportunity to go and press them, and they've done it. They've won the ball back.
Sulemana finds Manning, header away from the resulting cross by Romero, up in the direction of Solanke, who tries to flick it in to his path, but it's broken up once more. And this is the most that Southampton have been inside Tottenham territory all afternoon.
And it resulted from Vicario putting the ball down and playing a quick free kick in his own box to a player who's not even really looking at the ball in Ben Davies, and the midfield aren't set. They're running with their back away, facing away from play. Solanke hasn't got himself in the position, so then when they try to play those passes,
Sulemana's done really well to get the other side of Pedro Porro for a moment, cut into the penalty area, but the Spurs defenders descended upon him, blocked his cross, and then smashed it clear up in the direction of Solanke up near the halfway line, and Southampton have it back again. And it's just a bit eerily quiet here inside this giant arena. A wonderful place to watch football on a beautiful afternoon like this. There's not a cloud in the sky hanging over the top of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but at the moment, with fans still slowly making their way back in from the T-bars, if they have them in such a nice place, and Spurs really struggling out the traps to start this second half, it's a place devoid of atmosphere at the moment as Southampton win their first corner kick of the afternoon.
Well, there's a real sense of kind of complacency about this Tottenham side, the way they've come out the second half. You know, they should be coming out revved up, knowing what they have coming on Thursday and wanting to finish this game off on a high, finish it off strongly and put the sword to Southampton's side, who are devoid of any confidence. But Southampton have started better.
Well, they'll have needed to as well. Even Juric will have surely said that to his charges at half-time, that they need to start this second half well, as the ball is curled into the penalty area and Vicario comes and flies, dressed top to toe in bright yellow, and makes a good claim of the ball. You don't see keepers do that often nowadays. They tend to want to punch those away, but that was a really good claim from the Italian number one.
Yeah, it is. And for Vicario, who has had a lot of criticism throughout the season for being not as physical as he should be, or as dominant in his box as you expect your goalkeeper. And from a defender's point of view, well torn.
Yeah, Aribo's left Romero for dead. He's 2 yards outside of the penalty area, pulls the trigger. It's blocked by Bentancur and deflects into the path of Romero. And now Spurs will perhaps think of counter-attacking in their own right. They won't do. Put their foot on the ball. 5 minutes played of this second half, of which Spurs are really yet to start it. And Spence will find Son on the left wing. Son cutting in, looking for Maddison. Really poor ball from the Spurs skipper. So it's 2-0 to Tottenham here. Still 3-1 to Fulham against Liverpool in West London, as it is also goalless between Brentford and Chelsea. You can listen to the last of those 3 games I mentioned on the BBC Sport website. Fulham-Liverpool is on BBC Radio 5 Live. We're available for you throughout the remainder of this game on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra, and it'll be a Southampton throw-in. Stephen Kelly, you've been through this. You've been relegated from the Premier League. We won't linger on it for obvious reasons.
Charlie, cheers.
You're very welcome. What are these Southampton players going through on an afternoon like this?
Well, fortunately, I've not been relegated this early on, or in this sort of state where you're 10 points in. I've been in fights till the end of the season and gone down on the last day, which was really tough to take. But you are low in confidence. You're trying to find the way to win. You're trying to find the way, when you go on a run of a losing streak, or you feel that you just don't have enough in the tank. What can motivate you? What gets you for these games? And it has to be something internally that makes you want to turn up, that makes you want to prove how good you are, and prove that you deserve to be at this level.
Even Juric says that their whole motivation is to not go down as the worst team ever. Odd motivation as that might well be, but if it works, it works. At the moment it's not doing, though they've started this second half really well. Manning does well to keep the ball in and finds Aribo, turns it up the left touchline as Southampton kick from left to right in front of us. They attack the end, which is backed by that giant Spurs wall. One huge stand behind the goal that Vicario is defending. Spence wins it back for Spurs with the help of Bergvall. Unlucky not to get a goal in the first half. Bergvall thought he'd scored, but 5.5 minutes later a VAR check ruled it out for offside. Romero judged to have just been off, as Solanke can't hold the ball up and keep Harwood Bellis off his back, and the Saints have it again with Manning down the left wing. Looks for an option and looks for a bit of support and finds it in Aribo. Square across the middle of the Tottenham half to Ugachukwu now with Walker-Peters, and out to the right wing for Tyler Dibbling, being watched closely by Spence. He's tricky with those low slung socks, and Walker-Peters attempts to find Fernandez, but it's well cut out by the Spurs defence. They have it back with James Maddison, who dances the other side of the referee and skips away from Aribo and looks for Son Heung-min, who's racing into open green space down the left, hits it left-footed. Great recovering challenge from the Southampton skipper Jan Bednarek, who's hurt himself in the process, but a crucial tackle if to not make this scoreline even worse from their perspective.
Yeah, great break from Tottenham into Maddison. Again, heads on a swivel, finds a wonderful ball into Son, and you just feel Son, in the form he's been, the season's gone past, that he will take that touch and score that chance. He just lingers a little bit, allows Bednarek to come back in, make that sliding challenge, and he doesn't get the shot away as he would have liked.
Dibbling has it again on the edge of the Spurs penalty area, down the right side. He rolls it under his studs on his left boot and looks for support in the form of Kyle Walker-Peters. 1-2 play with Ugachukwu, and back out towards Dibbling again on the right wing. We've played nearly 54 minutes here under the blue sky of North London. That wasn't the best bit of play from the teenage Dibbling, though, as he tried to find Walker-Peters but instead gave it straight back to another teenager in Bergvall. But he's now had his pocket picked, and Southampton have it again. Ball to the edge of the penalty area. Romero read it really well and stepped forwards out of defence and found a short ball to Solanke, who likewise has done well. It's now Romero who's the furthest player forward for Spurs. He's going to fall over the ball at this rate. Eventually throws himself to the ground in the hope that the referee will give him a free kick. But instead, that was a good old-fashioned case of a defender getting a nosebleed when he got too far up the pitch.
To be fair to him, he gets the ball to Solanke, who does ever so well on the right-hand side to kind of keep the ball away from Harwood Bellis, drive down, back into Romero's feet, little nutmegs from Romero, and then he just dives on the ground because he knows he has no support.
Manning has it back for Southampton down the left. The shadow over the top of this beautiful playing surface is gradually increasing. Not so much sunlight out there now as Manning, left-footed, tries to find a cross into the penalty area and instead blazes it behind into the wall behind that goal. It'll be a Spurs goal kick.
Yeah, Manning, first time there, he has to cross that as it comes out to him. He's in a really good position just to whip his foot round and put it behind the Tottenham defenders, but instead he opts to try and take a touch and fires it over. And that's what Southampton, when they get into the final third as well, that lack of just know-how and quality just to put the ball into the right area.
I think I just spied Pap Sarr getting changed to enter the fray here in the second half. Will certainly add legs. Of course, his introduction on Thursday evening at Stamford Bridge was booed by the travelling Spurs supporters. Bergvall was taken off at that point, and then Sarr came on and scored the goal, and of course that was disallowed 6 minutes later as Southampton have it again, once more attacking this Spurs penalty area. Onto the left wing, low ball from Aribo is cut out by Davis before it could reach Archer, and Spurs play it amongst themselves at the back with plenty of composure before Bergvall lifts it in the air up to the halfway line. It drops just inside Southampton territory, and Bednarek has the strength advantage over Solanke. It'll be a free kick for the Saints just inside the Spurs half to the right of the centre circle, and it'll be a double change here for Ange Postecoglou's side. Son Heung-min is the first to be withdrawn, and he'll be replaced by Wilson Odobert. The other change down there is Pape Matar Sarr, who's ready to come on too, and he will replace Rodrigo Bentancur, clearly with Thursday evening's Europa League quarter-final against Eintracht Frankfurt in mind. Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bentancur the second half, where he's made some great challenges in the box, travelling around, getting on the ball. Son, after that run forward where you felt he was going to score, you think that's when you get him off now. You get his legs rested. He could have played a really important role. And Odobert, he's missed a lot of the season so far, and I think in the moments I've seen him, he can be a real threat, and I think he could cause problems for Southampton down this left-hand side with his pace and his ingenuity. And Sarr is going to go in the middle of the park and give that energy that they're going to need. They've been lacking this second half.
Still 2-0 to Tottenham here as we approach the hour mark in North London. Still 3-1 to Fulham against Liverpool. 0-0 between Brentford and Chelsea. 4:30 on BBC Radio 5 Live. It's the Manchester derby with United against City live from Old Trafford on Tuesday. Champions League football returns. Full commentary on 5 Live of Arsenal against Real Madrid. There is also commentary on 5 Sports Extra of England women at Belgium in the Nations League. On Wednesday, it's Aston Villa's turn, and there'll be live commentary of their trip to Paris to face PSG in the last 8 of the Champions League. And then, of course, on Thursday evening, that is when Spurs will welcome Frankfurt here. We'll have updates into the Lyon-Manchester United commentary on BBC Radio 5 Live. So, first couple of changes there for Ange Postecoglou as he's starting to turn his attention to more pressing matters that will ultimately dictate how this season is reflected upon, should Spurs be able to finally capture a bit of silverware. They still have Richarlison, the returning Richarlison, on the substitutes bench should they want to introduce him this afternoon.
Charlie, I would say 100% that Solanke will be coming off 65-70 minutes because he's put a shift in.
Yeah, he's battled away against the big Bentancur in there as well, as he's just been withdrawn, and Sulemana's ball into the penalty area is not the best. Yeah, he's battled away against Bednarek. I'm saying Bentancur's been replaced too, and they're trying to save legs now. You wonder if Maddison will soon be withdrawn as well, or maybe a Romero at the back.
Yeah, for me, Solanke's the one that's probably expelled the most amount of energy. He's been everywhere really, trying to put pressure. He's leading from the front when it comes to pressing the ball, trying to be that pivotal person that receives it as well, getting knocked about, and you feel get Richarlison on for 20 minutes could be really important.
Sort of afternoon where he'd grab a goal as well, isn't it? Sun shining. And Southampton have it once more on the left wing. Matheus Fernandes on the ball. He smashes it from left to right. Drops at the feet of Kyle Walker-Peters awkwardly, and Odobert will nick it away from him, cross the halfway line, down the left, and find James Maddison in a pocket of space as per usual. Now Brennan Johnson, who, let's not forget, is on a hat-trick, tries to stab it in the direction of Solanke. Rocketed back at Ramsdale by Harwood Bellis, who does well. Plenty of composure back there from the Southampton keeper to play it out, and they'll now have themselves a free kick, and it might be a yellow card. It is for Pedro Porro.
I tell you what, Ramsdale did really well there, because Harwood Bellis fired that at him from 4 or 5 yards away. It just left foot, just beautiful little touch out the left hand side, cuts out Solanke's press and then lets him get away with it, but he was under severe pressure there to make sure that touch was perfect.
They made it look really easy when it had every opportunity to wrong foot him. He's going to be a Premier League footballer again next year, isn't he?
You would think so, but you just don't know. I think the question marks over Ramsdale are not going to be whether he's a good goalkeeper. It's going to be, why did you choose to go to Southampton? Is that the level you feel you're at? I don't know. I didn't understand it, because I think for most people, listen, obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. For most people, would have had Southampton within their tree of going down. And for Ramsdale, who was, was on the cusp of winning a Premier League a few years ago.
Yes, indeed. Matias Fernandes for Southampton on the right wing. Fakes to cross it onto his left foot. Pulls the trigger from range, blocked by James Maddison, gets back up again, looked through a 1-2 with Walker-Peters. Spence gets there first and will win his side a free kick. Walker-Peters looks at the assistant and says, no, you've got that one wrong. It should have been a corner kick, but it is a free kick instead. Even Juric, the Southampton manager, has just gone across to a couple of his substitutes and told them to come back in the direction of the technical area. He's clearly thinking of making a few changes now as they stare the trapdoor into the EFL right in the face. They've got less than half an hour to just simply delay their relegation. They will become the fastest team to ever be relegated to the Championship. In match week 31, this is. The previous record was with 6 games left. It's held by Derby County and Huddersfield Town. But today they would become the team with the earliest relegation on record from the top flight. They still need another couple of points to surpass Derby County's record as the worst team in Premier League history. They're on 10 points. Derby were relegated in 2008 with just 11. Meanwhile, on the pitch, Spurs have got themselves a free kick inside the centre circle and just inside the Southampton half. 62 minutes are on the clock. Still 2-0 here. 3-1 to Fulham against Liverpool and 0-0 between Brentford and Chelsea. It's Romero who stood over the ball. Had a couple of headers brilliantly saved by Ramsdale in the first half. Both of them flying, diving headers. Sort of stuff that you love to put in when you were a kid. Maddison tries to turn away from Ugachukwu. It's blocked by the Southampton midfielder, and it comes back off of Bergvall, and it'll be a Southampton throw.
Fair. Bergvall, I don't know whether he didn't see it or didn't think he could execute it, but Spence had made a run in behind there and he was in. He was absolutely in. No one attracted him, and Bergvall just didn't get his head up on time to find that pass.
There's usually a number of goals between these two sides when they do meet. Spurs won 5-0 at Southampton in December. That proved to be Russell Martin's final game before he was sacked. But 5-0 was also the 5th time that Spurs have scored at least 5 against the Saints, which is the most between any Premier League clubs currently in the top division. Johnson finds Sarr inside the Spurs half in the sunshine on that far side as they kick from right to left. Sarr trying to cut through the middle of the Southampton midfield and attack their defence, but a strong recovering tackle made by Aribo sees Southampton back in possession once more. 2 players stripped and ready to come on the near touchline for the visitors. James Bree, I think, appears to be one of them down there. Will Smallbone is another one.
Is Wellington, is it?
Yeah, Wellington, excuse me. Yeah, Wellington and Smallbone down there. And
substitution for Southampton.
It will be Aribo who's withdrawn for Southampton, with Smallbone returning from injury. And that other change, the Brazilian Wellington coming on to replace Ryan Manning. So a straight swap for both of those positions.
It is what Southampton's interesting is when you look at their kind of front 5-ish or front 3 and then 2 high midfielders, like the age. Dibling's is 19, Archer's 23, Sulemana's 23, Ugachukwu is 21, Fernandes is 20. You now have Aribo. Oh, he's in here.
Yeah, Solanke gets the other side briefly of Bednarek. The Southampton defenders getting back, trying to recover. Another brilliant save from Ramsdale. Solanke does really well, and now Ramsdale spilled the ball on the edge of the box, and that might well be handball. It is, as he slid to try and keep a hold of the ball with Solanke there. He slid out of his 18-yard box and the free kick has been given. Ramsdale makes a brilliant stop initially, and then as he legs it along his byline to try and keep a hold of the ball before Solanke could get there, he slid, tried to grab it, but in doing so has left his penalty area.
Yep, Solanke, middle of the pitch, ball over the top, takes it down, has time to turn, still get his shot away, and Ramsdale pulls off a wonderful save down to his left hand side, and then he's scrambling out, and Solanke can see that he's going at such speed, he's going right towards the edge of the box, gets his hands in the ball and ends up just sliding out with the ball in his hand. But it's a wonderful stop from him, but again, defensively so poor from Southampton. Solanke should not be able to bring it down there, then turn and get the shot away. It takes him a while to get under control.
We've played 20 minutes in the second half, and Southampton have been much improved on their first half performance. You think if a goal was to come for them, they might well get themselves back into this game, but another goal for Spurs would surely put this game and their status in the Premier League to bed. Ball curled in towards the back post in the direction of Romero, but flicked away before it could reach him. It's out with Wilson Odobert, who's closed down by Wellington, and that'll be a Spurs throw-in around 15 yards or so up the touchline from the corner flag away to our left hand side. Spence finds Bergvall and back into the heart of the defence for Davis once more. A reminder, if you're just joining us on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra, Southampton will be relegated if they lose, as they are doing here in North London this afternoon. It's game week 31. It would be a new record for the fastest ever relegation. This is Spence in the top flight, I should add. I've not looked in the EFL for those. Back to Vicario, and Vicario will find Romero. Ange Postecoglou stood on the edge of his technical area. He'll be a relieved man that things so far have been going swimmingly.
Yeah, Tottenham have not been great this second half. They've nowhere near kept possession the way they should have already did in the first half, and you expect Southampton to show something, but Tottenham's starting to get into the groove now slightly, and I expect to be maybe one or two more changes from the Spurs side.
Well, they've conceded possession, and Smallbone has it for Southampton in his bright pink kit. Back to Kyle Walker-Peters. Still 3-1 to Fulham against Liverpool as Fernandes takes over now for Southampton. Back to Smallbone inside the penalty area, pokes it in the general direction, but actually nowhere near Cameron Archer, and Spurs will clear it away once more. Out as far as Taylor Harwood-Bellis. More football to come later on BBC Radio 5 Live. The Manchester derby at 4:30. John Murray and Leon Osman will bring you that one, as Ugachukwu has it again, and Fernandes has gone down off the ball, and the referee has blown his whistle, stopped the game, and it'll be a free kick for the Saints around 3 or 4 yards outside of the Spurs penalty area. I think he looked to play the 1-2 and saw his run blocked off the ball after he'd played it, Fernandes, by Maddison, and I think Maddison knew exactly what he was doing. Hasn't been booked just yet, but might be doing well to avoid one.
Yeah, he just steps right across him. There's no contact to the face. Like, I see Fernandes is down rolling around holding his face, but now is about to step up and take this free kick. Perfectly able. Maddison is just a body check, just steps in his path, stops his run. Not that he was going to get on the end of it.
Fernandes gives the ball a kiss for good luck before he finally places it. It's 5 yards outside of the penalty area, tucked in on the inside right channel. Right-footed, floated ball, edge of the 6-yard box, headed away and out to the far wing by Dominic Solanke. Spence will find Sarr, and Spurs are looking to counter-attack. Odobert's made a run through the middle. Instead, they'll try to find Brennan Johnson down the right. Wellington has matched him stride for stride and poked it out inadvertently for a Spurs throw-in just inside of the Southampton
It's
half.
a poor pass from Sarr, wasn't it? As he comes inside, all the space to aim for him behind Wellington, but he just rolls it short, not giving Brennan Johnson the opportunity to really open his legs up and get behind.
And he had far better options as well, through the central areas of the pitch and out to the left too.
The Johnson one was almost the decoy one. That's not the one you play the pass to.
Well, Spurs fans haven't been given a great deal to smile about here at home in recent weeks. You could say recent months, really. They've won just one of their last 10 Premier League games here in North London. They're on their way to 2-11 now, and they approach the end of this Premier League season with a lot of important games as they try to avoid one of the worst finishes that they've seen in the top flight. They've not finished outside of the top 10 for 17 years, but they will do as things stand. Their worst ever finish in the Premier League was 15th back in 1994, and they started the day 16th in the Premier League. That won't be where they end their day, though, as things stand at the moment, though Southampton will be relegated as we approach the 70th minute. It's still Spurs 2, Southampton 0, as Maddison unhelpfully dinks a ball up in the air back in the direction of Romero, controls it comfortably enough. And you wonder, Stephen Kelly, whether or not the start that Southampton made to this second half, where they had all that energy behind them and they were firmly on top for maybe the first 15 to 20 minutes or so, has just started to dwindle away. Yeah, it's petered out. They got on top. Tottenham gave them some real good opportunities to go and win the ball high up in the Tottenham half and then try and attack them, and they didn't really take advantage of. We looked at the chances they had to put decent balls in the box, put crosses in, or make the right decision in the passing, but they just didn't do that. And now they seem to just drop back into that old form of getting men behind the ball and waiting for Tottenham to do something. Spence gets away from a couple of Southampton players. The ball ricochets into the path of Sarr. He'll play it back to Porro, dead centre, 10 yards outside of the Southampton penalty area. Now Brennan Johnson's ball drops just in behind Dominic Solanke, falls into the feet of Kyle Walker-Peters, and he'll try to find the ball out to Fernandez, but it's been brilliantly read by Bergvall, who slides and recovers possession for Tottenham. It's with Odegaard now near the byline, edge of the box, and Matías Fernandez will try to bring it away. Bergvall there once more, works really hard, the teenager, but he won't be able to catch Dibbling this time, who gets up towards the halfway line, plays a 1-2 with Archer, and then we'll find a ball out to that left touchline for Wellington. And now it's Hardwood Bellis who has it once more for Southampton inside the final 20 minutes here now at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Walker-Peters again on the right wing. Odegaard coming back and closes him down. Maddison will force Dibbling back up towards Bednarek, and he'll play it square across the back line for Harwood Bellis. He reads the game really well, Bergvall, doesn't it? He's snuffed out the danger time and time again throughout the day, but there is a bit of danger here. But there's Bergvall involved again, along with Jed Spence, and two of them there have really impressed this afternoon, as they have done over the last few months. These have been a tough few months for Tottenham, for the players, but those are a couple of players that have really stood out. I think you're probably looking at 1 and 2 for players of the season for Tottenham realistically throughout the course of the year. They've come in by default as well. You would never have had those two as starters or being as instrumental they have done. Spence was out in the cold. He looked like he was going to get no opportunity here, and has found his way in, has been brilliant throughout the season. And Bergvall again, 19-year-old, not coming in expecting to start, especially in the midfield with Sarr, Bissouma and Bentancur looking like they had that secured, and I think he's been excellent. The energy, the industry, and then he shows a bit of guile and cleverness in the forward areas as well. A couple more changes for Southampton as Cameron Archer and Tyler Dibbling have both been replaced. Sugawara and Paul Onuachu coming on. Now Onuachu is very much their kind of if in emergency break glass type thing this afternoon, because he injured his ankle against Crystal Palace in the week. He scored 2 in his last 2, and he is a real handful, all 6'7" of him. Yeah, he is, and you're going to bring him on when you have a free kick you can fling into the box. That will be the plan. No guesses to see who perhaps might be a target. In the end, they try to play it out towards the far side of the 18-yard box, but it's easily dealt with by Spence, who comes away with it, and then he's held up by Bednarek and Sugawara, but he's done really well, gone down, won the free kick. His manager Ange Postecoglou is stood directly over the top of him at the moment and very warmly applauds the effort there of Jed Spence. Yeah, good play. Spence gets held up, and you can just see he just dinks the ball between the two players, is about to drive on and gets brought down. Well, Sugawara was one of those players who's just come off the bench, and one of the first things he did is bring Spence down, and he's been linked with a move to Napoli in the summer. Don't think there's much thought that he will be playing in the Championship for the club. This will be his 30th appearance of the season, the Japanese international. As Vicario finds Davis, and Davis will find Maddison at the back. 1-2 with Spence, but Ogachukwu blocked the run of Maddison, similar to how Maddison did to Fernandez about 5 minutes or so ago, and that'll be a free kick for Spurs. And Ange Postecoglou stands, hands in his black overcoat pockets, and we've already mentioned Stephen Kelly will be thinking about the Thursday night to come against Eintracht Frankfurt. Might also be thinking about the VAR goal that was disallowed from Lucas Bergvall for offside in the first half too. It could be far more comfortable than the 2-goal scoreline that it is, but that is very much the Tottenham Hotspur way.
I'm so surprised he hasn't taken Solanke off. I feel like he's done everything he can this game. He's run the channels, he's pressed. He's been in a tough battle with the two centre backs who've been like bumbling from behind, making tackles. He's been physical, and then you feel if Richarlison is going to have an impact, they're going to be a player that you can potentially use on Thursday. You want to get a few minutes in his leg today, and it just looks like there's no sign of him making that change.
Richarlison is one of 5 Spurs substitutes that are out warming up away to our left hand side. In fact, Richarlison is bleached blonde hair, very recognisable even from this distance. He's warming up on the pitch at the moment as play takes place around 60 yards away from him, with Bednarek, who tries to find Walker Peters on the near touchline with a left-footed ball that in the end goes way beyond him and out for a throw-in. We've played 75 minutes. It's still 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. They will go up to 13th in the Premier League table as things stand, on 37 points, 5 behind Brentford, who are currently on 42. Brentford playing at home this afternoon to Chelsea, still 0-0 there. Liverpool meanwhile have got a goal back at Craven Cottage. Luis Diaz with that. It's now Fulham 3, Liverpool 2. You wouldn't put it past them, Stephen Kelly, to go and get an equaliser or more there, would you?
No, not the way they've been this season. Fulham did so well to get back into that, didn't they?
Yeah, 1-0 down in that game. Fulham turned it round, 3-1 up. It's now 3-2 there, and you can listen to it live on BBC Radio 5 Live. Tottenham Hotspur very comfortably seeing this game out under the blue skies of North London. This is Sugawara on the right wing, has the number 16 on his back, now with Fernandez. All of this about 10 yards outside of the Tottenham Hotspur penalty area. Walker Peters back to Sugawara, lots of space to pick out a right-footed cross, and he's put it over everyone, but it will run all the way through to Kamaldeen Sulemana. Hits it first time, blocked by Brennan Johnson, the scorer of both of those Spurs goals this afternoon, and Porro turns it forwards in the direction of Solanke, goes down, wants a free kick, looks at the referee, arms stretched out wide, but the referee completely ignores him. Now a right-footed ball from Sulemana in the direction of Onuachu. Vicario comes and again leaps high into the sky and catches it with both hands.
Yeah, good play from Vicario, comes out and just takes the sting out of the game completely. But again, I'm looking at Tottenham thinking, who are they going to bring as substitutes? It looks like they have Archie Gray lined up potentially to come on now, and Basuma. So that's Romero maybe centre back, and Basuma goes into the middle.
Yeah, maybe for James Maddison. Just to rest some legs there. Spurs have only made 2 subs so far this afternoon, withdrawing Bentancur and Son with Thursday evening in mind. So Vicario is closed down by Smallbone away to our right. Spurs kicking from right to left in navy blue and white this afternoon. Southampton in pink shirts and shorts, with Paul Onuachu leading the line since he came on a few moments ago. Has scored 2 in his last 2 games, 4 goals overall this season. He's 30 years old, he's 6'7". Here's Ben Davis, takes the ball off of Vicario and then immediately gives him back again. Is it too simple, Stephen Kelly, from a Tottenham Hotspur perspective, to say that the season does live and die on what they do in the Europa League quarterfinals and more widely in that competition this season? We'll come back to that, because Sulemana now herring towards the Spurs penalty area, hits one, draws the save out of Vicario, clawed away, and then in the direction of Ugachukwu, he throws himself at the ball but hits nothing but thin air, and Spurs will look to counter-attack in the opposite direction. Solanke's down off the ball, Bergvall has it, finds Papsar, and now it's with Odeberg down the left. He's not really got anybody with him, so he'll put his foot on it and wait for Sarr to be introduced. Solanke slowly gets back up again with an almighty limp as Bergvall wonderfully picks out Porro 30 yards out. He'll hit one well over the top of the crossbar, and it'll be a goal kick.
Yeah, I'm looking at Solanke, honestly, it's about 4 or 5 times that either Howard Bellis or Bednarek has come right through the back of Solanke. If you're the Spurs manager watching this game, surely you can see the same thing we're seeing, and you're thinking, he's your centre forward, he's the one you're going to start on Thursday, I would expect. He's the one that leads the line. He was heavily involved in the first half, and the press and the way they go about him. I think Tottenham have missed him when he hasn't played, and I think you're running a silly risk by leaving him on the pitch. Just get him off and get someone else on that can play, and Maddison's the one that comes off for Archie Gray, Bergvall comes off for Basuma, and you think that's tactical, but tactically I'd be getting Solanke off the pitch.
Yeah, they've still got one substitution left. They've made 4 now. Just to confirm those for you, Maddison and Bergvall off, as Bissouma and Gray have replaced them. Back to that question that I was going to say a few moments ago before Sulemana stung the palms of Vicario. Is it too simple to say that the season is all about that?
Oh, it is all about that. I think that's it. It can be as simple as that. Sometimes things can pivot on one thing, and for Spurs, this is everything to them. They've been, let's face it, for Tottenham standards over the last 10 years or so, well, most of the time in the Premier League, this has been an awful season for them when it comes to where they're going to finish. They're nowhere near getting a European space, out through league position. They're nowhere near domestic cup. They have one thing left this season, which is to try and win silverware in the Europa League, which would be a phenomenal thing for them to do.
Well, they lost.
But yeah, is that possible? Yes. But they're going to have to play better than they do today, because I don't think the Southampton team are a very good side, and Spurs have dropped off and allowed them into it at times.
Massively so in the second half, though. Southampton still have nothing to show for it, and we're now inside the final 10 minutes of the game. Southampton will be relegated at the conclusion of this if they lose. 2-0 down. Here is Fernandez. Neat little ball into Sugawara, but he can't take it in his stride inside the 18-yard box. Goes down and maybe wants a penalty. He's never going to get one. The referee stopped the game just to make sure that the Japanese winger is okay. Gets a pat on the back from Ben Davis, and being told to get up really from all quarters. We'll catch a little bit of a replay there. There's very little in that, and the game will resume in a moment. Certainly not with a penalty, but I'd say, never speak too soon with VAR. But
no, if
completely innocuous.
Yeah, no, it's the ball gets stuck behind them, and Spence just checks his run, comes back, and I think what happens is as he goes down, Spence, as he turns, kind of knees him in the calf slightly, so it can be painful, but it's not going to result in anything apart from a throw-in,
which Kyle Walker-Peters is stood over at the moment, has the ball in his left hand. Sugawara is just retying his right boot. Fulham still leading by 3-2 against Liverpool, still goalless between Brentford and Chelsea. We've got a great week in front of us on BBC Radio 5 Live. A couple of Champions League commentaries for you, and a Europa League commentary as well. Champions League on Tuesday and Wednesday, Europa League on Thursday, and we also start our coverage live from Augusta for the first golfing major of the year. Rory McIlroy again trying to win that career Grand Slam. Scotty Scheffler likely to be the man to beat. Walker-Peters, right-footed ball off the right wing, finds Smallbone, back to Sugawara. 82 minutes have been played. Smallbone picks it up again and finds Ogachukwu. Every single Southampton player apart from Ramsdale inside the Spurs half at the moment. Ogachukwu finds Sugawara on the right wing. Fernandez was an option, but instead it's the left-footed ball that somehow manages to go over the head of the giant Onuachu and behind for a goal kick. And if ever a passage of play summed up Southampton's afternoon and indeed season, that was it.
Yeah, that was it, and I think that's kind of summed up this second half of the match as being pretty forgettable, like to say at least. Neither team has really caused many problems. Neither team has looked good in possession, going forward, attacking. There's just been a real lack of anything in the second half. First half was decent, but I said before the game that this fixture kind of looked like it was potentially going to be a pre-season friendly, and this second half has basically been a pre-season friendly. Neither team really wanting to exert themselves too much, and yeah, going through the motions almost.
Stephen Kelly, when you're right, and you are right. Southampton have made another change, and if clinging to straws and clutching at them here as well, something to maybe smile about from a Southampton perspective. Ross Stewart has returned from yet another injury. My goodness, is that man unlucky. He's replaced Leslie Ogachukwu, and Ross Stewart is back in a matchday squad for the first time since October. And here comes Spurs. It's with Solanke, edge of the penalty area, to put the gloss on this, left-footed. Blazes high and wide and over and in behind to the awaiting Spurs fans. It's still 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. We're about to see the 84th minute tick over.
It's a good pass from Bissouma into his feet, and Solanke takes it really well, drops onto his left foot, but then Bednarak, I think, defends this really well, gets out, leans into him, just urges him, shuffles him away from the goal slightly, and then when he hits the ball, he's leaning back and fires it way over the left hand side, and you can tell as Bednar came across he wasn't going to be able to. Solanke just nicked it here.
He's got it again. He's approaching the edge of that Southampton penalty area, and Bednarek has made the challenge, snuffs out another Spurs attack. We've got another Tottenham change on the way. Matthias Tell is ready to come on, maybe for Dominic Solanke. Time will tell.
Yeah, 6 minutes. He's going to save his legs. Listen, he had a chance to score there, but I am surprised this didn't happen earlier in the match.
Yeah, I am too. And as you've mentioned on a couple of occasions, he's worked hard, and he bundles Will Smallbone to the ground, dishing out a bit of the treatment that he's received from Harwood Bellis and Bednarek all afternoon.
Yeah, they've fair. Bednarek and Harwood Bellis, when the ball's been in the box and crosses have come in, I think, and organised and defensively they're great, but when the ball's been played in Solanke's feet, they've been right up on top of him, nipping at his heels, making some quite fiery tackles on him from behind, and he's taking a fair few hits, Solanke.
Into the final 5 minutes here on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. That's Stephen Kelly, the former Spurs, Birmingham, Reading fullback, of course with the Republic of Ireland as well. Spurs still leading by those 2 Brennan Johnson goals to 0, both of them coming in the first half. The first after 13 minutes, the second 4 minutes before the break. In between, they thought they'd got another through Bergvall, only for it to be disallowed by VAR for offside. It took well over 5 minutes to come to that decision, as Basuma has it for Spurs, plays a 1-2 with Odebear, gets it back again, right in the heart of the pitch, as the Spurs fans burst into song. And Brennan Johnson, in that small area of pitch which is still bathed in beautiful North London sunshine, takes over, gives it to Porro. Porro trying to play the 1-2 in behind down the inside right channel, and instead it goes behind for a Southampton goal kick. And there is that change, and he'll be, as you mentioned, Stephen Kelly, really grateful, Dominic Solanke, of the 4 minutes of rest.
Yeah, and Postecoglou looking after centre forward there for the big game on Thursday night. He put a shift in, you have to give it to him. He's worked really hard, and I think Solanke, if he stays fit for the full season, I think Tottenham's season will be slightly different than what it is, because he leads the line really well, he presses really well, he gets the rest of the team up the pitch, and he's taken a fair few kicks today, so yeah, get him off. I suppose never too little too late. It's a 4 or 5 minutes respite.
I guess from Dominic Solanke and Postecoglou's perspective, they were hoping that he got a goal. He's not scored now in, I think, any of his last 9 Premier League games. Solanke and strikers, they feed on it. They live off the confidence of goal scoring.
And I suppose if there's a team you would think you're going to have a chance to get a goal, it's going to be Southampton. But honestly, Charlie, I think this second half, the best way to describe the second half is just meh. If a meh emoji would describe the second half of a game in an instance, there's been nothing of note.
Yeah, almost as Sulemana now picks it up for Southampton, switches it from left to right and finds Sugawara inside the right corner of the penalty area. Now hits it, draws a good save out of Vicario. That's a really good save, probably the best save that he's made all game, because it might well take the slightest of flicks on the way through, diving down to his right hand side, makes a good stop, snuffs out the danger and grabs the ball as well.
Yeah, that's the best moment of the second half. Southampton work well, and as he gets this, he just drops his shoulder to the left, creates a little bit of space, and then he hits it with no real backlift, but there's a tremendous bit of power on this, and Vicario has to do well, get down quickly and knock this out. Make sure he doesn't knock it into a Southampton body as well. So it was a really good save from Vicario, really well hit.
We're into the 89th minute here in North London as Porro spins away from Sulemana and then draws the attention of Smallbone. They play it in triangles between Porro and Sarr and Johnson. Now with Archie Gray, who signed last summer from Leeds United, such a promising young footballer. I watched a lot of him last season in the Championship with Leeds. He just lets the ball run by him, so composed on the edge of his home penalty area. He of course comes from fairly good stock, son of Andy, grandson of Frank, great nephew of Eddie Gray, as Matthias Tell leads the line, charging down the press on Aaron Ramsdale. He'll play it into the heart of the defence, and Southampton will build again down the left.
It's nice to see Gray though in the position where I'd expect him to play for Tottenham. He's playing that holding midfield role, which I feel, if he gets given the opportunity to play that, could be really pivotal for Spurs. Unfortunately, he's been deployed at right back, centre back, left back this season, all through Tottenham's injury crisis, and he acquitted himself really well for a teenager. But that position he's in now is the one where you feel if he gets game time in there, could really make a difference. Think of him and Bergvall a couple of years could be brilliant.
Yeah, both of them only 19. Sulemana has it for Southampton. Dinked ball towards the back post. Fernandes controls it and fires home through the legs of Vicario. Southampton have themselves a goal back inside the final minute of the game. It is Spurs 2, Southampton 1.
Yeah, great finish from Fernandes, but the time he has to bring that down, like the cross comes in, I'm thinking header first time, he does it, he ups the chest down, I think right, he's bringing it down, he's not going to get an opportunity to get this shot away, but he does. He has time to bring it down, take his time, fire between Vicario's legs with no one from Tottenham really getting back to him. Spence has got drawn inside because I think the centre forward has peeled off the shoulder of Davies. But the time he has to take this down and hit it, and listen, I know it's the last few moments in the game, but Tottenham, again, poor defending. Not every goal here is avoidable. I know most goals are, but in this game today, every goal has been avoidable.
It was checked briefly for offside. The goal stands. We're into 4 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the game. It is Spurs 2, Southampton 1, and as things stand, they will still be relegated today. They have to avoid defeat, and some gallows humour from some of the Spurs fans drenched in sunlight in the far left corner away from us, chanting that they're staying up. They know they're not doing. They're just trying to avoid going down in record-breakingly quick fashion, which they are still doing so if they lose this game. There is a roar from those Southampton supporters on the far side of the ground, though, and from nothing in this second half. Mentioned it at length, really, Stephen Kelly. There have been very, very few chances for either side. Now Southampton have got the wind in their sails.
Yeah, they really do, and you feel with the size advantage they have in the central forward positions now, they need to get the ball in the box, they need to get it in there early, and they need to time their cross as well, but they've given the ball away here and allowed Tottenham to regroup and probably put this down the pitch. Vicario is going to get a long free kick. But Tottenham, the second half, it's been a really poor performance of Spurs. It's been a poor performance of Southampton, but Tottenham did not in any way. The level of complacency I think they showed in the second half is exactly what happened. They thought they had the game, dead to rights, and haven't really turned up.
So Spurs 2, Southampton 1. It's finished at the GTEC Community Stadium. Brentford 0, Chelsea 0 on the BBC Sport website. It is still Fulham 3, Liverpool 2. They are hanging on BBC Radio 5 Live, where you can listen to the final few moments of that one. They are leading by 3-2 in the 97th minute. Still to come at 4:30, Manchester United against Manchester City, also live on 5 Live. Spence reads the danger, snuffs it out as Walker-Peters was trying to find a pass down that right wing in the direction of Sugawara, who has helped since he's come on, has added something a little bit different. Fernandes has impressed as well since they made a couple of those changes. He'll be thrilled with the goal, but otherwise there's been very little to be impressed about when it comes to Southampton this afternoon. 4 added on, we've played 2 of those. It's with Sulemana on the left wing. Again, everybody for Southampton, bar the goalkeeper, well inside Spurs territory.
They have an overload over on this right-hand side with Sugawara and Walker-Peters.
And that's exactly what they've tried to exploit now. It's the touch of Sugawara that lets that down in the end, otherwise they could well have been in.
Yeah, it's 2v1 against Jed Spence, and just that touch gets away from them, but they're in a really good position there to try and cause Spurs a problem.
Still going at Craven Cottage, still 3-2 to Fulham against Liverpool. Long searching ball from left to right here, meanwhile, from Southampton has gone out for a Spurs throw-in deep in their own territory in the left full-back position, and very, very slowly Jed Spence ambles over, grabs the ball, puts it under his arm. Spurs will move up to 13th in the table should things stay like this, should they be able to get out of here with all 3 points. It's going to be another Spurs throw-in on this near touchline. Southampton thought they might have had one for a moment, but instead Spurs will, and once more, will take their time over it, Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, no rush for Spurs now. Just wind down the clock, get a you want to say comfortable win to some extent in this game, because Southampton haven't really showed much, but the lack of goal scoring opportunities second half for Tottenham has been what they've lacked.
Audebert has it dead centre. They've got a 3-on-3 across towards Brennan Johnson, goes down over the stretched leg of Wellington. It's a penalty. Penalty for Tottenham Hotspurs. Of course it will be checked. Wellington, the substitute, committed, and Brennan Johnson, who's on a hat-trick, went down and says, please let me take it. He's in discussion with Matthias Tell, I believe, on that far end of the pitch. And it's an opportunity for Spurs to sew up the 3 points and put a nail in Southampton's coffin.
Yeah, it is. It's, to be fair, as soon as Wellington goes in, he puts his hands on his head. I think that was evident. The referee, it was a poor challenge. No need to dive in there. I think Brendan Johnson's going away from play. I don't think he's going to get onto the end of it either.
He's not happy about it either. But it's Matthias Tell who stands over the ball. Johnson's almost being consoled, I think, by some of his teammates because he doesn't get to score the hat-trick, perhaps.
Yeah, but I want Johnson to get a hat-trick. It'd be wonderful for a break a hat-trick, but if he's a penalty taker, how many opportunities, how many times have we seen this before where they get it and they miss?
Well, it's Matthias Tell against Aaron Ramsdale. It's a goal that will finally put Southampton out of their misery. We played 95 minutes. It's a direct, straight run-up from Tell. He now wheels away, stutter steps and scores. And with that, relegates Southampton to the Championship in record-breakingly quick fashion. Spurs will return to winning ways in North London. Their first victory here since the middle of February in the Premier League. But Southampton, their fate finally confirmed. It's Spurs 3, Southampton 1.
Yeah, Tottenham getting a goal second half. Good penalty by Tell. Ramsdale goes the right way, gets his hand on there. Actually, I thought maybe he's going to save this. Just can't reach far enough, and has good pace on the penalty in that far corner. And listen, Tottenham, you know, if you give them for the first half, with a better team, deservedly to probably win this game, create the most chances, look most dangerous. But the second half, neither side has really taken the game by the scruff of the neck, and Southampton have gone out with a whimper, really, as we kind of expected.
Well, it's finished Fulham 3, Liverpool 2. So drama on the banks of the River Thames in the nation's capital there. Here, this one's about to finish. Tottenham 3, Southampton 1. The referee puts his whistle to his lips. And that's it. Spurs get all 3 points. Southampton are relegated to the Championship for a second time in 3 seasons. The fastest a team has ever been relegated from the Premier League. It's finished Spurs 3, Southampton 1. Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, it's a poor afternoon for Southampton. They've gone down in record time. No one would want that reputation. They've got 10 points. They need to make sure they don't get the record of the least amount of points. And if you have something to fight for, that's something to fight for. But in the first half, they devoid of confidence. They have nothing about them at the moment. And defensively, the goals they gave away were so poor. The lack of organisation, the discipline, the free kicks they gave away. And this is not against a great Tottenham time at the moment. Tottenham are not in a brilliant spell of playing wonderful football or electric. They're a team that are not the most confident themselves. So yeah, not a great game to witness today, but Tottenham get 3 points. Looking forward to Europa League on Thursday, and Southampton unfortunately go down with that woeful record of being the earliest team in the Premier League history to get relegated.
Yeah, those Southampton players currently gathering in the centre circle, staring longingly into the distance in the general direction of the remaining Southampton supporters that have made the journey from the south coast today and have been bathed in sunlight all afternoon. And in all fairness and credit to them, the vast majority of the travelling thousands have stayed and are now applauding, in the main, those Southampton players as they slowly make their way across to them. Their fate has been sealed. No side prior to today had ever been relegated with 7 games still remaining. 2 teams had gone down with 6 left, Derby and Huddersfield, but never quite so quickly. Aaron Ramsdale leads the group over there. He can be confident that he's done all he can. Certainly today this scoreline would have been far worse, but full credit to those Southampton fans who are singing at the top of their voices.
I think if anything can show you the value of fans and the importance of them to your club, it's that right now. They are literally singing, chanting, cheering and they have every right to be angry, every right to be disgruntled and giving their tuppence into what these Southampton team have done. But they're celebrating them, they're cheering them, they're giving them, you know, it's amazing. This is remarkable to see that these fans are still here and cheering them, and this is what football's about. It's about those right there.
Ramsdale's gone across and given his shirt to a young supporter at the other end of the field. The Spurs fans are taking the applause of the remaining Tottenham Hotspur supporters. There aren't that many left, to be fair to them now, but they'll be relieved to see a win here. They've now won 2 of their 11 Premier League games in recent weeks. It's been pretty miserable in North London for them, but as the sunshine has returned, so has that winning feeling, so has the smile on Ange Postecoglou's face, and boy did they need that going into such an important fortnight with the Europa League.
Yeah, they did, they really did. I think the problem with teams is you can't just pick and choose your form. You can't just raise it for certain games. I think you have to have a certain level of consistency if you want to be successful, and Tottenham haven't had that. A win today against what was a poor Southampton team, it's not going to exactly enamour them with so much confidence, but it's going to make them feel a little bit better about what they do. They've come into a game on the back of a win, which is important, and Thursday is everything to this side now.
Stephen, thank you for your company this afternoon. The game wasn't that much fun, but your company was, I'll tell you that. Spurs have beaten Southampton by 3-1. They return to winning ways ahead of an important fortnight, but Southampton have been relegated from the Premier League. They are the first side to do so soon in a season. There is now more cricket on the way on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra.